Yun Linshan lies dead in a coffin, his fate mourned by a woman with vengeance in her eyes. Yet a miraculous doctor now walks the same world, holding secrets that can restore what was lost. Leave a like and subscribe to walk this path. Earth 2020 Farewell Linshan. Rest assured, for those who harmed you, I won't let any single one of them go, said a dignified, mature woman stood beside a large wooden coffin. In the coffin laid the body of a man. His face was pale, void of blood, and several vicious wounds destroyed his original handsome face. A strong wind kept blowing, making the woman's long black hair fluttering in the air. She had a beautiful oval face, slender figure, brimming with a heroic aura. Her bloodshot eyes kept staring at the lifeless body in the coffin. Her hands clenched into fists tightly, filling with immense hatred as blood slowly seeping out between her fingers. She took a deep breath and turned to her subordinate behind before she nodded her head lightly. Several men immediately moved the coffin into the prepared grave, closing the lid down, and carefully buried it with soils under the woman's reluctant gaze. "Are you sure you want to take this road, miss?" A white-haired old man who stood one step behind the woman asked concernedly. The woman looked away into the distance. A pair of her bloodshot eyes were filled with boundless determination as she replied, "Uncle Yang, you've taken care of me since I was born. Do you think I am joking?" The butler, Yang Wu, looking at his young miss back with his cloudy eyes for a while before he let out a soft sigh. "Please let this old servant accompany you on the road." The woman turned around to face Yang Wu. The latter could see her current expression clearly. It was icy as her body seemed to exude immense killing intent, making the surrounding temperature seem to drop significantly. She uttered, "Let's go." After she finished the sentence, she immediately walked to the black Rolls-Royce car that parked distant away, followed closely by Butler Yang and her subordinates. As the row of cars disappeared along the road, two mysterious figures suddenly appeared out of thin air before the grave. The white mist shrouded both of them, making them unable to be seen clearly. "What an emotional girl," a female voice rang out from one figure. The voice was soft and seemed ethereal. Another figure said nothing in reply. Instantaneously, the surrounding white mist suddenly swirled and the grave started to shake. In the next moment, the coffin that was buried earlier had magically appeared on the ground. The lid automatically opened up, revealing the man's body inside. A beam of golden light shot out of the white mist, enveloping the lifeless body. Following that, the enigmatic scene had occurred, the vicious wounds on the man gradually healing and his body slowly shrinking in size. The once 30-year-old looking man gradually turned younger, bit by bit. It was as if time had turned back. A minute later, the golden light wholly dispersed, and the man's body earlier was nowhere to be seen. There was only a tiny male infant left inside the coffin, and he appeared to be alive as he moved his small limbs slightly. Around the infant's neck, there was a silver necklace with a rectangle shape in the middle. It clearly belonged to the man before. The white mist around the figure became thinner, revealing a pair of slender hands bringing the infant up into them. Caressing the infant's face for a while, the white mist figure handed him to the female on the side. "Bring him to that place and keep him safe." An incomparably cold female voice came out of the mist. "Yes, master," another female with the infant in her arms responded solemnly. She hesitated for a second before she asked, "Where are you going, master? Please let this servant go with you." The female master didn't reply to her question. Instead, she said, "Remember, never reveal your existence before he has completely awakened the power. Go." She waved her hand after she finished her sentence. A strong force condensed around the female servant and the infant, and the space behind them started to crack like a spider web. "Understood, master." The female servant reluctantly replied before she, along with the infant, vanished into the space cracks, leaving behind the female master alone. With a soft sigh filled with helplessness, the female master waved her hand once again. The grave magically turned back to its original appearance as if nothing happened before. Following that, her figure was also disappeared from the place. It's been almost 16 years since I came to this foreign place with such a typical name, Azure World. Until now, I still can't bring myself to believe that I was caught in such a cliché situation, similar to the novel I'd read before. Who would have thought that transmigration is real? As a man who grew up in a science-based civilization, I firmly believed there is no such an unscientific phenomenon as this, but yeah, here I am. Looking back to my journey on this world, there is nothing much to talk about it. Besides reading and studying medicine and profound formation, I have done nothing else. You might wonder, why did I so adamant about studying these two profound knowledge, right? Well, it's not that I am trying to pursue Tao of alchemy or anything. Actually, if you came from Earth just like me, you won't find it strange at all. Why? Because I have read many Xianxia novels before, and the protagonists in these novels are either becoming a god-level alchemist or a universe-level formation master. giving a face slapping to some classic young masters left and right. I want to be like that too. Talking about this, I am so angry. To my hundreds of novel reading experiences, this kind of transmigration often comes with a cheat device. It could be something like a pill emperor's inheritance or a super-duper god-level physique. However, I don't have any of them. Although I didn't start as a cripple, living in a big clan and having a fiancé try to annul a marriage contract, my cultivation talent is too ordinary. In the world where the strong eating the weak, with my current qualification, undoubtedly, I will die in no time. Fortunately, the god of transmigration gave me a good starting point. 16 years ago, when I opened my eyes, I already found myself living in a baby boy and was adopted as a foster son by the current Misty Cloud sect master. My life here is so comfortable. Surrounding by thousands of beauties while being the only man in the sect. This is simply a paradise on earth. However, I am aware this will not last long. If I wanted to dictate my fate, I have to rely on my own strength. To whoever accidentally picking this diary up and expecting it to be an inheritance or some sort of secret technique. I'm sorry to disappoint you. There is nothing but my rants here. However, if you had a chance to travel through the universe, don't forget to visit a blue planet called Earth. Yun Linshan, a man from Earth. Putting a brush down and closed his diary, Yun Linshan leaned back on a chair, looking at a wooden ceiling in a daze. He absent-mindedly touched a silver necklace on his neck. The necklace's chain was made with unknown material, silver in color and smooth as jade. There was a tiny square-shaped locket at the center, smooth in surface with no pattern. It might look ordinary, but this necklace had somehow traversed together with him from Earth. This was quite bizarre, and he had a hunch there was something hidden beneath this seemingly ordinary-looking necklace. The early morning sunlight passed through the log cabin's window, landing on his exceptionally handsome face with a hint of childishness. His dark hair naturally hung over his broad shoulders, giving a faint shimmer. Despite being only 15 years old this year, his growth was quite fast as his height had already reached 185 centimeters, making him look like an adult. Yun Linshan had a handsome face that would make people stop their tracks upon seeing him, a well-ratioed face and a prominent jawline, striking eyebrows with a pair of eyes full of sadness and vicissitudes, seemingly mismatched with his age. Slightly high-bridged nose and thin lips. Even in this azure world, where people were greatly enhanced by profound energy from heaven and earth, people with a good-looking appearance could be found everywhere, like clouds. Yun Linshan could still be ranked at the top in terms of appearance alone. Bang, bang, just as Yun Linshan was lost in thought, an urgent knocking coming from the door's direction, bringing him back to his sense. Yun Linshan immediately stood up and walked toward the door. When the door was opened, he saw a delicate figure stood before him. She was one of his many junior sisters, Yun Ziohang. Senior brother Yun, please help Tong Tong. She was poisoned, a 13-year-old-looking girl, Yun Ziohang said anxiously. She had a petite body with a delicate face. Her hair was tied into a big bun, looking cute and brimming with youthfulness. At this moment, her common Misty Cloud sex uniform was slightly tattered, showing she had engaged in a battle before she came here. Slow down, Ziohang. What exactly happened? Yun Linshan asked calmly while patting Yun Ziohang's hands, trying to calm her down. I don't know what happened. Tong Tong and I went to the village this morning. Just as we reached the foot of the mountain, suddenly we were attacked by the fire spirit snake and Tong Tong got bit by it. Woo, senior brother Yun, please save Tong Tong. Yun Ziohang hurriedly explained and sobbed at the end. Hearing this, Yun Linshan's eyebrows raised in surprise. He comforted. Relax, it's not a big deal. Let me fetch my toolbox first. Yun Ziohang nodded her head vigorously and let Yun Linshan went to get the toolbox. They were quickly set off afterward. It was already midsummer, but the weather on the Misty Cloud Peak hadn't changed in the slightest as it was snowing all year round. There wasn't much vegetation beside an endless snowfield and several simple yet artistic buildings around the place. Yun Linshan and Yun Ziohang hurriedly passed through a huge square before arriving at a small ancient-style building with the Recovery Hall nameplate above the entrance. The hall's interior was quite spacious and decorated with simple furniture. On both sides of the aisle, there were many ice beds arranged neatly. At this moment, several women dressed in the Misty Cloud sex uniforms gathered around one bed nearby the entrance. Through the crowd, Yun Linshan immediately recognized a red-skinned young girl lying on the ice bed. She was Yun Ziohang. Sisters, please make way, Yun Linshan said. Great. Senior brother Yun has arrived. A group of women turned around to see Yun Linshan, and they exclaimed loudly with joy. In the Misty Cloud sect, everyone knew besides being the only male disciple, Yun Linshan had another identity, a genius doctor. His attainment in the medical profound art had already reached an extraordinarily high level. He could even be regarded as a once-in-a-millennium genius. It wasn't because he was a doctor when he was on Earth or having a high comprehension, but rather the medical knowledge here in this world was too easy to understand. It was to the point where Yun Linchen thought anyone from Earth with good logical thinking should have no problem learning them, and this applied to other arts such as the formation profound art and the alchemy profound art as well. Yun Linchen arrived at the bedside, putting his toolbox on a small table, and then examined the girl in front of him. Except for her skin had turned fiery red, other features on her body were 90% resembled Yun Xiaohang. That's right, both of them were twins. At this moment, Yun Xiaodong was covered in sweat, and she would occasionally twitching in agony. Yun Linchen grabbed a hold of Yun Xiaodong's wrist to check her pulse. He could feel a raging heat wave kept rampaging within her body from time to time. Undoubtedly, this was the characteristic of the fire spirit poison. This poison was capable of making people felt as if they were trapped in a volcano, and it would also inflict damage to the target's soul. After confirming it was indeed the fire spirit poison, Yun Linchen quickly picked up a brush and wrote something on a paper before turning around to the crowd. He said, "I need someone to fetch medicinal ingredients according to this list from the treasury for me. Any volunteer? I'll go." A young, energetic girl who stood nearby raised her hand quickly. Yun Linchen nodded and gave her the paper along with a hexagon-shaped white jade token. Seeing the girl went out of the hall, Yun Linchen opened his toolbox and picked up 2 silver needles from it. A gleam of deep blue light appeared on the silver needles, releasing a cold mist before Yun Linchen pinned both of them on Yun Xiaodong's heart area and between her eyebrows area. They were a heart gate and a soul gate, respectively. Following that, Yun Xiaodong instantly calmed down, stopped twitching. The surrounding girls let out a sigh of relief upon seeing this. "I don't know which senior sister accompanied them down the mountain," Yun Linchen turned to ask the crowd. Usually, there would be someone with high profound strength accompany a junior down the mountain to prevent an accident from occurring. "It's me," a tall woman suddenly stepped out of the crowd. She had a standard, beautiful oval face, straight nose, and thin lips. Obvious guilt was written all over her face as she blamed herself for the incident. She lowered her head slightly and said, "It was my fault. I failed to notice the fire spirit snake. I am willing to be punished." Yun Linchen shook his head and gave her a smile. "You don't have to blame yourself, senior sister Yujia. We all know the fire spirit snake is capable to hide its presence from our spiritual sense. Who would have thought that it would appear here in the snow region? This is an abnormal occasion." Seeing Yun Yujia still lowered her head, he said further, "Besides, this fire spirit poison isn't without remedy. I can guarantee it won't affect Xiaotong's foundation in the slightest." Only then Yun Yujia raised her head to look at Yun Linchen and asked, "Is that true? I've read it before. The fire spirit poison would cause damage to the practitioner's soul, and that would affect their foundation as well, especially a practitioner who hasn't reached the spirit profound realm yet." Yun Linchen chuckled. "It's true as senior sister said, but I can deal with it without affecting her foundation. You can be at ease." He paused for a moment before he continued. "By the way, did senior sister bring the snake's remains back?" "Yes, over there." Yun Yujia nodded and pointed at the center of the hall. Yun Linchen followed the direction she pointed to and saw a 4-meter-long red snake lying on the ground. It had shiny scales with a fatal sword wound on its gigantic head. Yun Linchen walked toward the snake's remains and touched it. Instantaneously, his expression changed, and his brows couldn't help but crease together by the discovery. Because Yun Linchen's back was facing the crowd thus, no one noticed his current severed expression. Yun Linchen frowned deeply, thinking of something until the girl came back with the medical ingredients. Yun Linchen retrieved all the medicinal ingredients and started to concoct a pill with a small copper cauldron. An intense fragrance immediately spread through the hall upon Yun Linchen finished refining the medicinal ingredients. The concoction was smooth sailing, and he also took this chance to teach everyone from time to time throughout the process. 30 minutes later, the medicinal liquid in the cauldron slowly blended together under Yun Linchen's complicated hand seals and began to take shape, forming into 9 thumb-sized blue pellets shortly afterward. Yun Linchen brought the 9 pellets into a jade bottle and went to Yun Xiaotong's side before feeding her 1 pellet. Following that, he poured his profound energy on the tip of his index finger and pointed at the silver needle between her eyebrows to protect her soul gate while waiting for the pill to work. In the next moment, a cold current gradually spread throughout Yun Xiaotong's body. Her former red skin slowly returned to its former color. It took 20 minutes before the effect of the pill had reached its limit. Yun Linchen retracted his hand, observing Yun Xiaotong again. After confirming everything went well, he turned to Yun Xiaohong and gave her the jade bottle. He said, "Give her a pellet every half an hour, a total of 3 pellets, and call me again after it's done." Yun Ziohung gripped the jade bottle tightly and nodded her head firmly. Understood, thank you, senior brother Yun. Her eyes filled with gratitude and admiration. Yun Linshan waved his hand dismissively, walking to the snake's remains and took it along with him, went out of the recovery hall. He headed to a building that stood at the topmost of the Misty Cloud Peak. The Misty Cloud sect had around 1,000 disciples and was entirely made up of females. The sect would select only females as their disciples. It was a long tradition since the sect's founding date over 5,000 years ago. The arrival of Yun Linshan broke this tradition, and he became the first male disciple in the sect's history. However, this limited within the sect only. The outsider never knew about his existence at all. Yun Linshan grew up under the status of the sect master's foster son. Surprisingly, no one opposed him even once. The relationships of everyone in the sect were extremely harmonious. It was to the point that turning Yun Linshan's belief upside down. Yun Linshan had witnessed many dark sides of humans while he was on Earth. Even blood-related siblings could kill each other in front of benefits, and this happened in a modern society that was abided by laws and rules. Then what about here, Azure World, where lives were worthless than grasses? He firmly believed no organization in the world entirely without internal conflict. Perhaps it was because the Misty Cloud sect mainly recruited orphans most of the time, and everyone had regarded this place as their home deep down in their hearts, allowing the sect to reach this level of harmony. Anyway, it was a myth to Yun Linshan until now. The hierarchy of the Misty Cloud sect was similar to other sects, except there was no vice sect master. The sect consisted of sect master, supreme master, 4 hall masters, and 12 elders. As for a disciple, there was no other classification except for a direct disciple, which could be counted in one hand. Yun Linshan wanted to change this hierarchy system initially, but his authority and status were too low. It could easily cause a conflict among them if he were to suggest changing. Therefore, he gave up on this matter thoroughly in the end. Arriving in front of a unique building made of ice, Yun Linshan stood before an ice curtain and said calmly, "Disciple Yun Linshan asking for permission to see sect master. Come in." A cold and arrogant female voice sounded from within the ice chamber. As the voice fell, the ice curtain before Yun Linshan slowly opened. Countless ice crystals dispersed out from within the room and didn't fall for a long time. In the center of the chamber, a woman with a devilish figure sat upright on a blue-colored ice throne. The throne constantly emitted an ice-gold aura, shrouding her entire body within the hazy fog of ice. Upon Yun Linshan walked into the chamber, her closed eyes opened gently. This was a pair of magnificent eyes brimming with boundless coldness and arrogance deep in the bone. It was as if nothing could be worthy in her eyes. She had a long black zinc hair stretched all the way to her waist, gleaming with a misty blue light. A celestial countenance, alluring to the extreme. Crescent eyebrows, cherry thin lips that could be compared with the most delicate petal in the world, wrapping with snow-white robes, blue ribbon around her waist, highlighting her seductive curves and abundant chest. Her body exuded an indescribable charm that could easily bewitch any man in this world. She was the current Misty Cloud's sect master, Snow Cloud Fairy, Yun Xianxia. Her cold and indifferent expression quickly dispersed when her gaze landed on Yun Linshan's body. It was replaced with a gentle, full of love and affection instead. Her lips parted gently. "Come here, let Mom take a look at you closer. Mom hasn't seen you for a day. I don't know how much you have grown." Yun Linshan was speechless. Although he was accustomed to his godmother's unusual behavior, he would frustrate every time facing her. Yun Linshan admitted the woman in front of him was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen so far in his 2 lifetimes. As a man, of course, he often had a wild thought about her. It just that, unless he could become stronger than her, it could be only a dream to bring this goddess down. Nevertheless, Yun Linshan still took a step closer to Yun Xianxia after tossing the snake's remains aside. The latter reached out her slender hands to pull him into her embrace. With a blissful smile, she said, You've grown up a little half-centimeter. Ah, here we go again." While Yun Linshan thought of this, a unique body fragrance immediately assaulted his nostrils. With a couple of soft sensations, it made his blood start to boil. Yun Linshan calmed himself down quickly and pulled himself away from the embrace slightly. He spoke. "Mom, please stop doing this already. Are you not afraid someone will see this?" Yun Xianxia smiled charmingly as she replied in a domineering tone, "Who cares? I am the sect master anyway. Whoever dares to peek, I'll punish them." Yun Linshan was rendered speechless once again. He let go of this topic and quickly explained the matter. "Mom, I've discovered something. You can check this snake." Yun Xianxia tilted her head to look at the snake's remains slightly. Her expression hadn't changed in the slightest as she asked, "How did you find it?" Yun Linshan briefly recounted Yun Zaiodong's situation and added his conjecture in the end. "So, I think the Sacred Flame sect should have reached an agreement with other sects already. From my estimation, they should take action during the Blazing Sun Mythical Realms exploration. Yun Kaingsu nodded her head slightly and motioned with her chin, telling Yun Linshan to go on. I can finish the heaven-suppressing formation within this week. Unless they could find a ruler profound formation master, there shouldn't be a problem dealing with any heaven profound realms practitioner. Yun Linshan paused for a moment and continued. I'll take part in this Blazing Sun Mythical Realms exploration in the next 2 months. Mom will have to sacrifice your reputation a bit. I hope you don't mind about it. Yun Kaingsu laughed gently. Since when did I care about my reputation? However, are you sure you want to expose your identity now? Yun Linshan nodded. There is no better time than this. We could delay them and attracting their attention by doing this. The problem is that many senior sisters have to take risks in this operation. Yun Kaingsu pondered for a moment before she responded. Let Mom go with you then, it's too dangerous. Yun Linshan shook his head. No, Mom. You need to stay here, let Third Aunt send us there. Her spatial technique is unrivaled throughout the Heavenly Fortune Nation. She could easily escape from the siege. Besides, I will look for a place to set up another secret transmission point to bring everyone back as soon as possible. Naturally, when they are attacking our sect. They definitely set up a formation disruptor, but I have a way to bypass it. You don't have to worry about this. I only have one request. I want to choose people who are going to participate in this exploration by myself. Listening to Yun Linshan's plan, Yun Kaingsu nodded her head approvingly. At the same time, she was proud of her son. Although his talent in profound ways was ordinary, his mind and other aspects were far surpassed his peers. Let's do as you said. Yun Kaingsu said softly while patting Yun Linshan's head lovingly. Her action annoyed Yun Linshan a little. Being treated like a kid like this, it made him uncomfortable deep down. Then, Mom, I'll take my leave first. Yun Linshan stepped back and hurriedly slipped away under Yun Kaingsu's reluctant gaze. The room returned to its usual calmness as well as Yun Kaingsu's expression had returned to a previous cold and indifference. She frowned, pondering on something briefly before she asked, What do you think? All of a sudden, a hazy mist gradually formed at the empty space beside Yun Kaingsu, and a female figure instantly emerged behind it. She had a tall, slender figure, dressing in snow robes. Her long, lustrous hair sprayed freely on her shoulders, and there was a black veil covering her entire face, hiding most part of her features except for her sparkled eyes. She was the supreme master of the Misty Cloud sect, Yun Meilan. He could detect a trace of spiritual imprint left within the fire spirit snake, despite he has profound strength at the 3rd level of Essence Profound Realm. This said his perception is extremely keen. I have always doubted his soul power since he was young. If I guess correctly, he should possess an unprecedented soul, and this incident has proved it once again. Yun Meilan paused briefly before she continued. As for the plan he proposed, it was because he can't access crucial information, and this leads him in the wrong direction. Her voice was incomparably cold, without slight emotion. Yun Kaingsu did not respond right away. She thought of something for a while and said, What I mean is, should I become more proactive? Yun Meilan glanced at Yun Kaingsu, speechless. Yun Kaingsu sighed, Alas, I shouldn't have made him my foster son in the first place. Yun Meilan was silent for a moment before she uttered, Old Cow 1. Following that, her figure instantly vanished from the place. After leaving Yun Kaingsu's chamber, Yun Linshan went straight to the treasury located on the west side of the Misty Cloud Peak. The treasury was a 7-story pagoda, with its outer appearance made by simple ancient woods. On the ground laid white marbles, looking extremely clean and vivid. This place might look unsecured by its ordinary appearance, but Yun Linshan knew there were countless traps around the vicinity, and some of them could easily take his life at any time. At the center of the first floor was a simple 2-meter-long wooden counter. Sitting behind it was an elegant, mature woman. Influenced by the sect's profound art, most of the women in the Misty Cloud sect would possess an incomparably cold temperament, but this woman emanated an extremely gentle aura, making people feel at ease when they were around her. Her countenance could be described as a noble beauty. A pair of slender eyes were filled with boundless tenderness, soft arch-shaped eyebrows, and a gentle smile hung on her petal-like lips. She was the 2nd Hall Master, Yun Kingru. All the 4 Hall Masters of the sect were specialized in different profound knowledge. They had a unique trait and were approachable despite they possessed a high status. The 1st Hall Master, Yun Ruinyu, was an expert on teaching profound ways. Every disciple in the sect was taught by her, and when it came to battle tactics, she was also the most reliable one. It could be said she was the brain of the sect. The 2nd Hall Master, Yun Kingru, was an excellent doctor, and she had high attainment of alchemy. It could be said that she was Yun Linshan's master in the medical profound art, and she was one of the closest persons to him besides Yun Kaingsu and Yun Meilan. The 3rd Hall Master, Yun Huangxin, was an expert in the spatial technique. It was because of her unique profound vein, the heavenly void profound vein, allowing her to master the space element, which extremely rare among profound practitioners in Azure world. Lastly, the fourth hall master, Yun Lingwei, was a heaven profound formation master. Every profound formation around the sect was her effort. Normally, she was serving as a treasury guardian. Unless there was a new profound formation for her to set up, she rarely leaving the treasury. Second aunt, why are you here? Yun Linchen said as he walked into the treasury. He was surprised to see Yun Qingru behind the counter instead of the fourth hall master, who usually served as a treasury guardian. With how close the relationship between him and all the upper echelons, Yun Linchen always treated them as his aunt. Yun Qingru raised her head slightly. A smile bloomed on her lips upon seeing Yun Linchen. She replied, "Your fourth aunt is about to make a breakthrough. She went to prepare herself." Yun Linchen smiled, "Then I have to congratulate her in advance. She'd love to hear that." Yun Qingru responded and asked further, "What brings you here?" "I came here to retrieve some materials for the heaven-suppressing formation." "Can you give me the list, second aunt?" Yun Linchen walked to Yun Qingru's side and sat down on a vacant seat. "Here, you can take a look." Yun Qingru passed him an ordinary-looking big leather book. Yun Linchen injected a trace of profound energy into it. The complicated ancient writing instantly appeared on the book's cover before it magically flipped open by itself. There was a ton of information written on each page. It was the list of the currently available treasures storing in the treasury. Skimming through the book for a while, Yun Linchen's brows creased together as he discovered the essential materials for the heaven-suppressing formation were missing. He turned to Yun Qingru and said, "Second aunt, we are short in many materials. I think we need to take a trip to the capital city." "Oh, really?" Yun Qingru was surprised. She rarely served as a treasure guardian. It was natural she knew little about the treasury's situation. "I heard our disciple was attacked by the fire spirit snake in this morning. I don't think we should go out during this period." Yun Linchen nodded. "It's true. Our movement might arouse their suspicions." He thought for a moment and spoke, "How about I go? We can activate a secret transmission point." Yun Qingru had a thoughtful expression. "You should ask Sect Master about this. Although they don't know you, it doesn't mean you are safe out there. Your strength is too low to go out alone. I'll be careful. You don't have to worry, second aunt. No one would pay attention to an ordinary boy like me, and I don't think I would cause any problem by myself." Yun Linchen responded him. "Why do I feel like I'm going to cause a problem out there? No way, I shouldn't have the legendary protagonist's problem magnet aura, right? It's useless to say this to me. Your mother, Sect Master won't be at ease letting you go alone. You should know about that." Yun Qingru gave a light chuckle. Yun Linchen smiled wryly when he heard this, thinking back to the past when he first went down the mountain. Yun Qiangsu had mobilized 6 elders and 2 hall masters to protect him in secret. Yun Linchen did not know if there was any poor soul who died trying to rob him under this insanely powerful lineup back then. "Well, I will talk with her." Yun Linchen spoke uncertainly. Yun Qingru said nothing further on this matter. Instead, she asked, "How is your progress? Is there any problem?" Yun Linchen shook his head. "There is no problem with my practice. Rather, the problem lies in my limited talent." There wasn't a slight agitation in his voice when talking about how untalented he was. Yun Qingru comforted, "Don't worry. I believe you will soar into the sky one day." "Thank you, second aunt." Yun Linchen accepted with a smile while he was cursing in his heart at the god of transmigration for leaving him without a plot armor. Yun Linchen went back to his cabin nearby the cliff on the east side of the peak. He sat on the chair, pondering his next move. The Heavenly Fortune capital city trip was full of dangers, and he might end up dead at any moment with his currently pitiful strength. During this trip, he needed to purchase a large number of materials, and some of them were precious treasures. With his identity, he might not be able to get them even he had money. Thus, he needed to come up with a concrete plan. "What are you thinking?" A familiar female voice suddenly rang out behind Yun Linchen. He quickly turned around and saw Yun Qiangsu slowly approaching him with a smile. "Mom, I need to go to the capital city to buy something." Yun Linchen stood up and said. Yun Qiangsu pulled Yun Linchen's hand to sit on his wooden bed, and she replied, "Why do you need to go in a person? Why don't you let your Aunt Meilin go instead?" Yun Linchen shook his head and said with a severed expression, "No, we can't let anyone know of our movement. I am the most suitable to go. It's just that I can't figure out how to purchase it. You know that among them, the heavenly yin iron is very precious. I don't think they would sell it to me." Yun Qiangsu nodded her head, expressing her understanding. She asked, "How much do we need?" "At least 5 kilograms, Yun Linchen answered. Just as Yun Qiangsu about to say further, her expression turned back to her usual cold and indifferent before she spoke, "Come in." Outside of the cabin, Yun Ziohang was startled for a moment. Earlier, she was about to knock on the door, but she heard Yun Qiangsu's voice coming out from the cabin, shocking her witless. She calmed herself down, opened the door, and walked into the cabin. Disciple Yun Ziohung, greetings, sect master. Yun Ziohung quickly bowed her head before Yun Kaingsu. What's the matter? Yun Kaingsu asked. This disciple has fed all the 3 pellets to my sister Yun Ziohung according to senior brother Yun's instruction and come here to report. Yun Ziohung answered cautiously as she was extremely nervous inside. Yun Kaingsu turned to look at Yun Linchen curiously. The latter smiled and said, I've told her to call me if she finished feeding junior sister Ziohung the pills. I need to go check on her. All right, you can come to see me later. Yun Kaingsu stood up and vanished into thin air upon finishing her sentence. Let's go. Yun Linchen stood up and beckoned Yun Ziohung. Both of them immediately headed toward the recovery hall. She should be fine now. You don't have to worry about it. Yun Linchen wiped the sweat on his forehead and said to Yun Ziohung beside him. He had finished treating Yun Ziohung and spent a considerable amount of his profound energy. His current expression was quite pale and he looked fatigued. Thank you, senior brother Yun. I'll definitely repay this, Yun Ziohung said with gratitude. Yun Linchen waved his hand dismissively. You don't have to, it's just a matter of raising my hand. All right, I will go now. Making sure to give Ziohung a proper meal. She needs good nutrition and tell her to stop practicing during this week. Understood, senior brother Yun. Yun Ziohung nodded her head firmly. Yun Linchen gave her a smile and walked out of the hall. He then made his way to Yun Kaingsu's chamber once again. When he arrived at the chamber, he saw Yun Meilan sitting beside Yun Kaingsu, looking at him. Greetings, Aunt Meilan. Yun Linchen gave her a slight bow. Come, take a seat. Yun Meilan said and motioned him to take a seat. Yun Linchen did not stand on ceremony. He sat on the ice chair around the ice table and poured himself a cup of fragrant tea. I have discussed with Meilan. She will accompany you on this trip. Yun Kaingsu put down a cup of tea and spoke. Yun Linchen nodded his head, no problem. He knew that the Supreme Master, Yun Meilan, was an expert in concealment and could be said she was the most terrifying assassin in the Heavenly Fortune Nation. With her accompanying him on the trip, his safety would be more secured. What about the purchase problem? Yun Meilan asked. Yun Linchen smiled confidently and answered, I think I have a plan, however it depends on luck a bit. If this plan doesn't work, I will take another way. Both of you can rest assured. Yun Kaingsu and Yun Meilan glanced at each other and didn't say anything, expressing their approval. The following day, Yun Linchen finished the breakfast unhurriedly and headed to the transmission point near the Treasury building. When he arrived, Yun Kaingsu and Yun Meilan had already waited for him. You're here, Yun Kaingsu greeted Yun Linchen warmly, while Yun Meilan only gave him a nod. Yun Linchen smiled and said, let's set off. Yun Kaingsu stepped forward and handed a mystical design golden-colored ring to Yun Linchen. This is the interspatial ring. Mom will give it to you. Yun Linchen was surprised slightly. To his knowledge, the interspatial ring was very rare and insanely expensive. Even among the top clans in the Heavenly Fortune Nation might be unnecessary to have it in their possession. He took the ring and examined it carefully. The body of the ring was made with an unknown material that Yun Linchen didn't recognize. There were ancient writings around the ring, and a hexagon-shaped amethyst was put in the middle. An exquisite phoenix pattern was engraved around the base of the amethyst, making the ring appear to be more imposing. When he wore it on his right ring finger, it was surprisingly fit, as if it was tailor-made for him. Yun Linchen injected his profound energy into it and discovered a vast space within the ring. It was too spacious, estimating hundreds of thousands of cubic meters. It could easily contain anything that Yun Linchen could think of. At the corner of the space, there was a mountain of gold coins and gold notes stacking together, estimating more than hundreds of millions, which made him stupefied for a while. This, Yun Linchen was shocked. Although he never saw the interspatial ring before, according to his knowledge, most of them only had around 10 cubic meters. However, the space inside of this ring had clearly surpassed all of them by unimagined margins. Not to mention the astonishing sum of money piled up at the corner. This enormous wealth was even far beyond the total amount of the golds in the Misty Cloud sect's treasury. Yun Kaingsu laughed at his reaction. There is nothing to be surprised. This ring is the best interspatial ring in the entire world. Yun Linchen was silent. He didn't know why Yun Kaingsu suddenly gave him this. He looked at her questioningly, waiting for the explanation. You want to know the origin of this ring? Yun Kaingsu asked. Without waiting for Yun Linchen to answer, she said further, when the time comes, Mom will tell you. Right now, you can drip a drop of blood onto the amethyst above the ring. Yun Linchen immediately bit his finger and dropped a droplet of blood onto the amethyst on top of the ring. Instantaneously, all the ancient writings lit up in golden light, and the ring mysteriously disappeared from everyone's sight. What? Yun Linchen was confused. He clearly felt the ring was still on his finger, but he could not see it. This is the unique ability of the ring. It can hide its presence from people's spiritual sense. Even the monarch Profound Realms practitioner won't be able to detect it, Yun Kaingsu explained. Yun Linchen gasped in the cold air. This invisible ability was too heaven-defying. He took a small silver needle box out of his sleeves and stored it into the ring. Apparently, he could take and keep the item while the ring was in this invisible state. With this, he didn't have to fear anyone would covet his ring anymore. "Thank you, Mom," Yun Linchen spoke warmly. "It's belonged to you in the first place," Yun Kaingsu replied. Yun Linchen was puzzled a little, but he didn't have time to further pursue the matter, as Yun Malin had already walked into the transmission profound formation. He had to follow her hurriedly. "Be careful out there," Yun Kaingsu said and waved her hand. A pattern on the transmission profound formation lit up, emitting a white light wrapping around Yun Linchen and Yun Malin. A moment later, their figures immediately disappeared from the place. Yun Kaingsu stared at the disappearing spot for a while before her figure vanished into thin air afterward. "So this is the capital city," Yun Linchen muttered while looking at a gigantic stone wall distant away. He was now wearing simple white robes without any disguise. In the world where the practitioner had a spiritual sense, all the disguises with simple makeup that he learned from Earth had become useless. Therefore, he won't bother to put up any disguise to hide his identity. Yun Linchen slowly walked toward a city gate. Earlier, he had appeared in a secret place nearby the capital city, and Yun Malin had disappeared before he could say anything. However, Yun Linchen was well aware she should be nearby around him. As he was approaching the city gate, a colossal archway became more apparent to his sight. There was a huge golden-colored sign written as Eastern Heavenly Fortune City Gate on it. Before the gate, various carriages and people were queuing up into a long line, going through the identity checking process before entering the city. Yun Linchen had also joined the line upon he arrived at the gate's area. "Move away!" All of a sudden, a burst of sharp cry came from behind everyone. A middle-aged man in gray clothes riding a white one-horned profound beast roared while dragging a luxury carriage behind. From afar, he looked like a bolt of lightning over a white shadow. Everyone hurriedly dodged to the side, paving a way for the incoming profound beast carriage. Seeing this, the city guards didn't dare to say anything as they let the carriage pass through the gate with no attempt to check the identity of the carriage. As the carriage passed by Yun Linchen, he clearly saw a sharp, Luo character on top of a spear symbol engraving on the carriage's body, Luo clan. They indeed enjoy the privilege, huh? Undoubtedly, the person in the carriage was either an arrogant young miss or a classic young master who failed to see Mount Tai as usual, he thought to himself. When the carriage disappeared into the city, the calmness had returned to the scene once again as the guards continued to check everyone's identity one by one. It took another hour before Yun Linchen's turn had come. "Name?" asked a stout guard. "Yun Linchen from Verdant Town." Yun Linchen replied calmly. "Oh, you came from the Verdant Town?" The stout guard looked up and down at Yun Linchen. "Yes, I took a carriage from there to Maple Town before walking to the city afterward." Yun Linchen came up with a lie without blinking an eye. He took out a gold coin and stuffed it into the stout guard's hand before he said, "Brother guard, can you tell me where is the best inn in the city?" The stout guard glanced at the gold coin in his hand and immediately gave Yun Linchen a friendly smile. "Sure, little brother, the best inn in our Heavenly Fortune capital city is undoubtedly the Sleepless Inn. You can take a carriage from here. It will cost you around 10 silver coins. One Yun Linchen had a weird expression on his face. Sleepless Inn. "What kind of this place? It's not a brothel, right?" Seeing Yun Linchen's expression, the stout guard chuckled. "I know. The name is quite strange, but you can rest assured it is definitely not a brothel. I never had a chance to stay there before, but from what I heard, the food, services, and environment there are absolutely top-notches. I can see that little brother is quite rich, so I think you should have no problem enjoy the services there." "I see. May I ask which clan is the inn belong to?" Yun Linchen nodded his head and questioned. The stout guard raised his brows slightly. "It's Hua clan. Why did little brother asking this?" Yun Linchen smiled while waving his hand. "It's nothing. As you can see, it is my first time being here in the capital city. I know little about the situation here. I just want to make sure that I didn't offend anyone from these powerful clans." The stout guard's brows relaxed. "I see. Little brother can go to any miscellaneous store and buy a city map from there. You can learn a piece of general city information from it." Yun Linchen cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, brother guard. I'll take my leave now." The stout guard nodded and turned to resume his duty. Yun Linchen gradually walked through the city gate, and the city scenery immediately came into his vision. The Heavenly Fortune capital city was very prosperous, worthy of being the nation's capital city. All the streets crisscrossed symmetrically, with each main street being very spacious on both sides. These streets intertwined together much like a well-designed spider's web. On both sides of the street, there were a variety of shops and stores. Many of these stores were selling things that Yun Linshan often heard about but never had a chance to see it. Most of the shops were engaged in sales and purchases of various profound beast materials, low-rank spiritual grasses, and there were also some stores that sold weapons. Some of the stores were high-end. They sold various high-graded artifacts and medicinal elixirs. As for those restaurants, ordinary clothing shops, and brothels, they were just too many to count. There were all kinds of buildings in the capital city. Most of them were built with an ancient Chinese architecture theme, arranging neatly on both sides of the streets. It made the capital city appear extremely magnificent and decorative. Yun Linshan found a random miscellaneous store and immediately walked in without thinking much. When he came out, a leather map could be seen in his hand. I see there are 6 major clans, huh? Reading the map attentively, Yun Linshan thought to himself. Fortune capital city's power ranking increased drastically. There were 6 major clans dominating the capital city, namely Li, Hua, Luo, Yang, Chen, and the Qi royal clan. Each one of them had controlled their own territory and engaged in various businesses throughout the city. On the surface, they appeared to be harmonious and harmless to each other. However, even a fool could see a fierce struggle between them behind the scene. Yun Linshan didn't surprise about it at all. Whether it was Earth or Azure World, fighting for resources was a common thing. Those who had better power in their hand naturally wanted to possess more. Such a thing was the nature of humans. Among the 6 clans, Yun Linshan had an impression of the Luo and Hua clan. One because of the earlier rushing carriage, another was famous for the accommodation business. As for other clans, he could only investigate slowly. Strolling around the street for a while, Yun Linshan arrived at an ordinary-looking restaurant with a big golden, smoky fragrance character written on the nameplate. He gazed into the building and saw the dining hall was crowded with people. Many of them seemed to be ordinary practitioners as they dressed coarsely and had low-level, profound strength. Yun Linshan decided to make this place his first destination. In a world without the internet and broadcasting, gathering information was a hard job. Unless he could set up his own intelligence network himself, Yun Linshan had no other choice but to take this simple way to gain a piece of information. "Hello, sir, are you alone?" As Yun Linshan stepped into the hall, a young female receptionist came forward to greet him with an enthusiastic smile. Yun Linshan gave a reply, "Yes, I am alone. Please come with me, sir. I'll arrange a table for you." The receptionist replied and led Yun Linshan to a vacant table nearby the window. Yun Linshan looked at the menu and ordered 4 simple dishes. When the receptionist went away, Yun Linshan started to look around the hall. At the same time, his ears concentrated on various discussions among the crowd. "I heard that Hua Wanru Fairy is about to marry Luo Kun later this year. Is it true?" A young man with a machete on his back said to another young man in blue robes opposite him. The blue-robed young man responded, "Yes, it's true. They should announce it soon." The young man with a machete sighed, "Poor Yang Chen. First, his profound vein was destroyed by Luo Kun, and now his fiancée has been robbed away too." The blue-robed young man only gave a chuckle in reply, unwilling to express his opinion on this matter. Yun Linshan didn't know who were Hua Wanru, Luo Kun, or Yang Chen, but he was pretty sure they should be a member of the 6 major clans. Otherwise, these people won't pay attention to them in the first place. This Yang Chen is probably defeated by that Luo Kun guy and got his profound vein crippled along the way. Since he became a waste, his fiancée, Hua Wanru, probably has no choice but to choose Luo Kun. Tusk, what a cliché drama. And this Yang Chen's name is very protagonist-like, similar to a novel I had read before. Is he going to make a counterattack later after encountering a peerless treasure? Yun Linshan was amused by his own thoughts. There were plenty of these dramas in the novel he had read before. Unknowingly, all the dishes had been served while Yun Linshan continued to listen to the discussion. He was aware that he had a slim chance to obtain the news about heavenly yin iron by relying on these people alone. After all, the heavenly yin iron was considered as a scarce material in a small place like Heavenly Fortune Nation. However, Yun Linshan didn't mind about it. After listening for an hour, he had gained a lot of news and rumors, making his understanding of the general situation of the capital city increasing tremendously. For example, the third prince, Qi Feng, was crippled since birth. Heavenly Fortune Academy was the place where geniuses all over the city gathered, and the most famous treasure store was operated by the Yang clan. Yun Linshan remembered all of this information and went to settle the bill before he headed toward Yang clan's territory direction. A new plan had formed in his mind after he heard about Yang Chen's incident, coupled with the fact that the Yang clan might have the heavenly yin iron in their possession. Yun Linshan could take this chance to make them owe him a favor and ask for the heavenly yin iron in return. Did Yun Linshan have a way to repair a damaged profound vein? The answer was yes. For over 10 years of experience in the medical profound art, Yun Linshan's attainment was remarkable. Repairing a damaged profound vein was not that hard for him. However, he had to see Yang Chen's current condition first before he could judge anything. Of course, he definitely won't approach Yang Chen blindly. No one would believe a no-name Essence Profound Realms practitioner like him, and his safety might be at risk. Thus, he came up with an idea, building his reputation and weight. Fortunately, the Yang clan was coincidentally located on the eastern side of the city. Yun Linshan walked for an hour until he arrived in front of the Yang trading hall. He thought for a while before he decided to check it out. "Welcome, esteemed customer. May I know what are you looking for?" As soon as Yun Linshan stepped into the hall, a young female clerk greeted him with a sweet smile. Yun Linshan took out a list from his sleeves and handed it to the clerk. "I want everything on this list." The clerk carefully read everything on the list and gave Yun Linshan a professional smile. "Please wait for a moment. I'll go fetch your items." Following that, she disappeared into the door behind the counter. Yun Linshan was surprised slightly. He didn't expect everything to be smooth sailing like this. After all, the items on his list were not cheap, and some of them were quite rare. Yun Linshan used this time looking around the trading hall and discovered a few customers walking around the place. According to the information, this place should be the most famous trading hall in the city. It should be crowded with customers. However, the current situation didn't seem to match the reputation, causing Yun Linshan to ponder deeply. "Here are the items you need, a total of 7,030,000 gold coins. We can give you a 10% discount. May I know how esteemed customer would like to set a bill?" The clerk came back with a large leather bag and put it on the counter. Yun Linshan checked the items and quickly paid directly with several gold notes before he asked, "Do you have heavenly yin iron here?" The clerk was surprised when she saw Yun Linshan casually paid with several gold notes without hesitation. When she heard his question, she quickly replied, "Dear esteemed customer, I'm sorry, we currently don't have it here. However, if you really want it, you can check this out." She then gave Yun Linshan a piece of paper. On the paper, it was the announcement from the Yang clan, saying they were currently looking for someone to treat the current patriarch from a dreadful disease. The rewards were 10 kilograms of heavenly yin iron, along with other precious treasures. Yun Linshan snickered in his heart as everything seemed to get in his way effortlessly. However, he won't jump into the muddy water directly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known how he died. Who knows how many enemies the Yang clan had. This Yang patriarch definitely suffered from someone's scheme. He didn't want to get into others' trouble. Yun Linshan retrieved the leather bag and politely said, "Thank you for telling me this." Then he walked out of the hall under the clerk's scrutinized gaze. "What are you going to do next?" Yun Malin asked. After Yun Linshan leaving the Yang trading hall, he found a random inn to stay. "I plan to set up a stall to treat people for free and wait," Yun Linshan replied casually. "Why are you so sure that they won't be able to trace back to you?" Yun Malin understood his plan, but she couldn't understand where his confidence came from. Yun Linshan chuckled, "I don't expect to conceal everything. All we need is to delay them. When they found out it was me, I would be long gone by then." Yun Malin nodded her head and looked at Yun Linshan weirdly. As she watched him growing up, Yun Linshan rarely stepped out of the sect. She didn't expect him to be this meticulous and seemingly very experienced. Thinking about this, her mind drifted to the memory of Yun Linshan's arrival at the sect for the first time. "I'm going to rest now, Aunt Malin." "You should rest too," Yun Linshan yawned, as he didn't notice the change in her mood. Yun Malin nodded her head and vanished from the room, leaving Yun Linshan to scratch his head and wondered where did she go. He sat cross-legged on the bed and began to absorb profound energy. In the Azure world, profound strength was divided into 9 realms. Foundation, Essence, and Spirit Profound Realm were regarded as an early entrance of all practitioners, following with Origin, Earth, and Heaven Profound Realm as a true profound practitioner. As for the last 3 realms, they were Ruler, Saint, and Monarch Profound Realm. Each one of them comprised 10 small levels. Yun Xianxia, Yun Malin, 4 Hall Masters, and 12 Elders of the Misty Cloud sect all had the strength at the Heaven Profound Realm, which could be considered one of the strongest forces in Heavenly Fortune Nation. The most fearsome was naturally be the current ruler of the nation, Qi Xianxing. As the rumor said, he had profound strength at the 3rd level of Ruler Profound Realm. Normally, the mediocre one would be stuck at the 10th level of the Foundation Profound Realm, and the promising genius would reach the 6th or 7th level of Essence Profound Realm by the age of 16. Thanks to the resources that Yun Xianxia had piled up for him, allowing a slightly above average talented like Yun Linshan managed to reach the 3rd level of Essence Profound Realm before 16. A moment later, Yun Linshan exhaled a long breath in disappointment. He had tried every possible means to strengthen himself since the first day he came to this world. However, he failed in the end and could only accept this fact. Therefore, the only way he could preserve his life was to stick with the Misty Cloud sect. This was the biggest thigh for him to grab a hold onto, and this was also the reason why he'd worked so hard to study the profound formation and medical profound arts. As long as the sect was safe and sound, his life would be preserved. Yun Linchen shook his head, getting rid of the sour mood, and habitually touched the silver necklace on his neck. This necklace had accompanied him through 2 lifetimes. Undoubtedly, there was a secret behind it. However, no matter how he racked his brains, he couldn't get anything from it. Yun Linchen had a simple breakfast at the inn before he headed to the biggest market in the Yang clan's territory. On the streets were thousands, if not tens of thousands of people, and there were countless stalls aligned neatly at both sides. Looking at the bustling scene in front of him, Yun Linchen's mind drifted to the past where he was on Earth. At that time, Yun Linchen had opened a fried rice stall as a hobby, and his main job was reading a novel. It was simple yet full of happiness. If he hadn't grown up in the Misty Cloud sect, perhaps he might choose a peaceful life and secluded himself from the world. This uncle, how can I set up a stall here? Do I have to ask for permission? Yun Linchen put a messy thought aside and went to ask a middle-aged man behind a breakfast stall nearby. The stall owner looked at Yun Linchen in puzzlement as he saw Yun Linchen's clothes were spotless and he looked like a young master from a wealthy family. Nevertheless, he replied, "You can go to the operation hall over there, paying a fee, and they will assign a place for you." "Thank you, uncle." Yun Linchen responded politely and gave the stall owner a gold coin, leaving the stall owner in a daze. When the stall owner came back to his sense, Yun Linchen had already blended into the crowd, disappearing from his sight. Yun Linchen passed through the dense crowd and arrived at the operation hall. He went straight to the counter and quickly applied for a stall permission token. He didn't have to wait for too long before he got the permission token and the assigned location to set up his stall. Yun Linchen didn't know why everything seemed rather smooth to him. He often thought that he would encounter some arrogant young masters and had a conflict with them. To his surprise, he never met one until now. The assigned location was located at the end of the market streets, which could be considered a good place. Yun Linchen bought a small wooden table and 2 good wooden chairs, one with a backrest and another without it. He set up a simple stall and put a big signboard, treating every illness for free, in front of the table. Following that, he sat calmly, closing his eyes, and waited for the target to hook the bait. The passers-by had various reactions when they saw Yun Linchen's stall. Some of them didn't believe in his skill as he was too young, and some of them even gave him a contemptuous gaze. However, people who were hesitant could also be seen among the crowd. One had to know that the expense for general treatment was extremely high, especially for an established doctor. Treating simple flu might cost them more than 10 gold coins. An ordinary citizen with a low income definitely couldn't afford the insanely high price. Therefore, when they saw Yun Linchen's stall, they had the thought of trying in case he could really cure them. After all, it was free. "This little doctor, can you check my condition?" At this moment, a middle-aged woman in fiery red clothes approached Yun Linchen with a smile as she asked politely. Yun Linchen opened his eyes to look at her and nodded his head with a smile. "Yes, I can. Please take a seat." The middle-aged woman sat on the chair without the backrest and raised her hand for Yun Linchen to check her pulse. Yun Linchen didn't need to examine her, as he had already figured out her illness. The woman had pale skin, hollow eyes as if she hadn't slept for a long time, combined with a gloomy aura that emanating out from her body. He was pretty sure this woman had suffered a disease called yin hallucination. "Did you often see something like a ghost or an illusion whenever you closed your eyes?" Yun Linchen asked. The woman's eyes lit up and nodded her head quickly. "Yes, it started a month ago. I always seeing a scary ghost in my dreams every time I closed my eyes. I have visited many famous Taoist priests and spirit doctors, but none of them could do anything about it. I happened to see little doctor's stall here and come to give it a try. Please tell me, do you have a way to get rid of it?" The woman looked at Yun Linchen expectantly. Yun Linchen was puzzled in his heart. He didn't understand why those spirit doctors and Taoist priests couldn't get rid of this simple ailment. To his knowledge, yin hallucination might be a bit tricky, but it shouldn't be that hard to expel it. In fact, it was because Yun Linchen couldn't grasp a clear picture of the overall level of the doctors in the entire nation, and it made him overestimated them greatly. "You have been inflicted by a disease called yin hallucination. Have you ever visited a place where yin energy heavily gathering recently, for example, a tomb or a graveyard?" Yun Linchen asked. The woman thought for a moment before she replied, "I never go to that kind of place. However, my husband went to the ancestral tomb last month. Is it because of him? But he seems fine. Why am I the only one who has it?" She started to get angry and harbored resentment toward her husband. Yun Linshan nodded, certainly. Your husband is a man. He definitely has yang energy in the body more than you. He can easily resist this level of yin aura with no problem. Unlike you, you are a woman. The nature of woman's body comprises yin energy, which happened to be aligned with the yin aura from the tomb. The woman immediately understood the cause and effect of this matter. The resentment toward her husband gradually disappeared. No one could understand the torment she had been through during this month. Had she been an ordinary mortal, she would have died a long time ago. The profound energy in her body was the reason why she could hold on until now without sleeping. I will help you erase the yin aura in your body. After finishing the sentence, Yun Linshan took out 6 silver needles from his toolbox on the table and quickly pinned them down on the woman's body. The speed was too fast. The woman didn't even have time to react before all the silver needles were already attached to her body. The 6 needles formed into a symmetric hexagon shape from her forehead to her belly. A trace of heat slowly seeped into the woman's body, causing her brows to crease together. In the next moment, the gloomy aura around her started to disperse at an obvious rate. The woman was overjoyed when she noticed the change in her body. The sluggish feelings she had before were slowly leaving her. It worked, she exclaimed loudly. Her voice immediately attracted the onlookers as they looked at Yun Linshan in amazement. They never thought that this young spirit doctor could actually treat the woman's illness. Yun Linshan retracted the silver needles and used profound energy to clean them before putting them back on the table. Afterward, he took out several talisman papers from his sleeves and began to inscribe several ancient symbols on them. Congratulations, you are free from illness now. When you go back, put these talismans around your house for a day. There shouldn't be a problem anymore. Yun Linshan handed the talismans to the woman. The woman received them gratefully and gave a deep bow to Yun Linshan. Thank you, senior, for treating my illness. My name is Xianxia Cultivation. If you have a problem, you can visit my house anytime and please accept this. She then gave Yun Linshan a gold note worth 1,000. Yun Linshan was amused by the way she called him a senior instead of the little doctor like she did before. He waved his hand dismissively and said, "Take your money back, I don't need it. If you are uncomfortable, you can use this money to buy clothes and food for orphans." Xianxia Cultivation looked at Yun Linshan admiringly. "Senior, you are too kind. Rest assured, I'll donate this money to an orphanage as you wish." Yun Linshan snickered in his heart. It wasn't because he was too kind, but rather he urgently needed to build up the reputation and he didn't lack money right now. Xianxia Cultivation kept bowing a few times before she left the stall in a good mood. Seeing this, the onlookers immediately reacted. They hurriedly came to Yun Linshan's stall for free treatment. A minute later, a long line of people appeared in front of his stall. Yang clan was renowned for the treasure trading business throughout the Heavenly Fortune nation, and the income from this business alone was capable to send them to the top of the wealthy ranking effortlessly. Even the Qi royal clan might not be able to compete with them in this aspect. As the say goes, a tall tree attracts the wind one. Yang clan's wealth, without a doubt, had aroused greed and envy from all directions. In the past, there were countless accidents occurring in the Yang manor. Assassination and robbery had happened from time to time endlessly. However, with the enormous wealth that Yang clan had accumulated, they had successfully nurtured many talents within the clan and became one of the local behemoths among the 6 major clans. Yang Chen, the eldest son of the current patriarch Yang Gaoming, was labeled as a generation genius. His attainment in the sword profound art was extremely high. Moreover, there was a rumor saying he had already achieved a sword intent despite he was only 16 this year. No matter how people looked at him, he was undeniable going to take the helm of Yang clan in the future. However, all of this had become the past now. 2 months ago, Yang Chen had accepted a challenge from Luo Kun, the young master of Luo clan. Luo Kun's status in his clan was almost the same as Yang Chen's in Yang clan. He was proficient in spear arts and inherited his father's brilliant talents at a young age. The battle between the two started because of a woman, Hua Wanru, from Hua clan. Originally, she was Yang Chen's fiancée, and they were childhood sweethearts growing up together. Later, Luo Kun was infatuated with her to the point he asked his family to step forward, helping him break the marriage contract between Hua Wanru and Yang Chen. But how could Yang Chen let them do that? As a prideful person like him, Yang Chen never let anyone challenge his dignity easily. Therefore, a conflict between them was inevitable. On the appointed date, both Yang Chen and Luo Kun had a fierce battle with the marriage contract as a stake. The battle ended with Luo Kun as a winner, and Yang Chen's profound vein had been destroyed afterward. A generation genius had fallen overnight, causing a tremendous commotion to spread throughout the capital city. Since then, Yang Chen had become an object of ridicule, and he never showed up in the public again. At an isolated courtyard somewhere in the Yang Manor, an 18-year-old-looking woman sat calmly on the bed while trying to absorb profound energy around her. She had an almond-shaped face, a delicate nose, and thin lips. Her long, slender brows creased together involuntarily with her eyes closed. Her face was quite pale, droplets of sweat were covered all over her beautiful face. She currently looked somewhat agony. Suddenly her eyes snapped open, along with a long exhalation. A dejected expression appeared on her face. She was extremely disappointed in herself. Bang, miss. Miss, all of a sudden, a young girl in green robes barged into the room as she shouted loudly. The woman frowned slightly. What happened? Why are you so hurry-lingling? The girl, Xiao Lingling, panted heavily while she replied, Miss, there is a miraculous doctor appearing in our market. So far, he can treat every ailment with ease. Even Madame Hong, who suffered an unknown insomnia disease, has been cured by him. We should bring young Master Yang Chen to see him. The woman was surprised upon hearing this. Of course, she knew Madame Hong's condition very well. Even the most famous doctor in the capital city could not cure her. However, this appeared out of nowhere doctor managed to do it. This showed the doctor's attainment on medical profound art was extremely high. The woman fell into silence for a while. She was Yang Mingli, the eldest young mistress of Yang clan, and she was also Yang Chen's older sister. Her talent in profound ways might not be high, but her thinking ability and business management were unrivaled among her peers. Even though she knew Yun Linshan could cure Madame Hong's illness, she remained skeptical. After all, Yang Chen's condition was 100 times worse than Madame Hong's. Yang Mingli pondered for a moment before she decided to give it a try. Let's go. I will meet this doctor first before deciding further. With that, she stood up and went out of the room with Xiao Lingling followed behind closely. It's done. After you go back, you can give your grandma medicine according to this prescription. Yun Linshan retrieved the silver needles back from an old woman in her 80s and said to a young girl on the side. The young girl nodded her head vigorously and carefully stored the prescription paper in her dirty sleeves. She bowed her head deeply. Thank you, Senior, for helping my grandmother. I'll remember this kindness forever. Yun Linshan glanced at the young girl's tattered clothes and sighed inwardly. He then took out 5 gold coins from his sleeves and stuffed them into the young girl's hand. The medicine shouldn't cost more than 50 silver coins. You can use the rest for food and clothes. The young girl was startled for a moment, and her eyes grew misty. While the old woman had already cried as she knelt on the ground directly, Thank you, little doctor, thank you. Yun Linshan was embarrassed seeing this scene. He hurriedly helped the old woman up and said, This is nothing, Grandma. You should live well from now on. He turned to the young girl and continued, All right, don't cry. Take your grandmother back. She needs proper rest. The young girl was choked with tears while nodding her head. She escorted her grandmother out of the stall, vanishing into the crowd. Yun Linshan turned to the crowd and said calmly, I hope there won't be any bad news such as robbery on a young helpless girl for me to hear later. Everyone should understand, right? The crowd glanced at each other and expressed their understanding toward Yun Linshan. Earlier, when they saw Yun Linshan gave the young girl gold coins, they were quite tempted. However, when they heard a warning from him, those ill thoughts had been dispersed instantly. No one would be willing to offend a doctor, especially a genius doctor like Yun Linshan. If something happened to the young girl, without a doubt, Yun Linshan could use public power to put pressure on a culprit directly. Needless to say, there would be someone willing to offer their help to gain favor from him. Yun Linshan nodded his head and sat back in his chair with a satisfied smile, preparing to continue his work. At this moment, he caught a glimpse of a beautiful figure coming in his direction. She wore exquisite blue robes with a white ribbon on her waist. Her hair hung down on her shoulder neatly, and there was a veil on her face hiding half of her countenance. With a glance, Yun Linshan knew she should be someone from a big clan. Isn't that young Miss Yang Mingli? Someone in the crowd exclaimed. Yes, it's her. Why did she appear here? Another person said. Idiot, haven't you heard about young Master Yang Chen's situation? She definitely comes here for the genius doctor. All the discussions fell into Yun Linshan's ears, causing his brows to raise in surprise. He didn't expect someone from Yang clan would come to him this fast. More importantly, the one who came seemed to be someone related to Yang Chen. It seemed the goddess of luck was always on his side since the first day he arrived in the city. Yang Mingli passed through the crowds as they paved a way for her involuntarily and arrived in front of Yun Linshan's stall. The scene when Yun Linshan gave gold coins to the young girl had been seen by her, and it made her have a sense of respect toward Yun Linshan. Not only he didn't ask for a treatment fee, he even gives money away to the poor. Such a benevolent and kind heart, he truly deserves to be a doctor, she thought to herself. Before she could say anything, Yun Linshan had spoken first. Miss, I don't care who you are or what is your background. If you want me to treat you, please get into the line. After finishing his sentence, he paid no more attention to her and continued to treat the patient beside him. Yang Mingli was taken aback for a second, and she gave Yun Linshan a slight bow before retreating to the back of the line. "Miss, isn't he a bit arrogant?" Xiao Lingling whispered in dissatisfaction. Yang Mingli replied softly, "No, he is not. We are indeed in the wrong." Her eyes fixated on Yun Linshan without blinking. This was the first time she saw someone who hadn't sucked up on a descendant of a major clan. This doctor was abiding by his principle through and through. It was exceptionally rare, especially in the capital city, where people would do their best to flatter anyone from the 6 major clans. Moreover, she was curious about Yun Linshan's origin. To her knowledge, there wasn't anyone with the surname Yun in Heavenly Fortune capital city that proficient in medical profound art. To possess such a high skill at a young age, his background shouldn't be ordinary. As for his low profound strength, she didn't think about it much because normally a doctor rarely pursues the profound ways. There were many famous doctors out there possessing such low profound strength. Yun Linshan wasn't aware of Yang Mingli's thoughts as he was overjoyed in his heart. While he was treating the patient, he had secretly written something on paper and stored it in his invisible interspatial ring. An hour passed by quickly and Yang Mingli's turn had arrived. When people saw her, they surrendered their positions and let her pass voluntarily. No matter how Yang Mingli refused, they would still insist to let her go first. Thus, she had no choice but to accept their kindness, or rather their flattery. "Greetings, Senior. My name is Yang Mingli. I would like to ask Senior to treat my younger brother." Yang Mingli spoke politely as she went straight to the main point. Yun Linshan glanced at Yang Mingli for a while and a weird expression appeared on his face. He said, "Are you sure you don't need my help?" His words directly confused Yang Mingli, and he said further, "Did you feel pain on your profound vein whenever you try to absorb profound energy? And you would feel a piercing cold on your lower body every night, making you unable to sleep." Yang Mingli's eyes immediately widened open. She had an exact problem, as Yun Linshan said. In the past, her talent in profound ways could be considered a genius level. However, 5 years ago, her profound vein seemed to have a problem all of a sudden. Every time she tried to absorb profound energy, she would feel intense pain in her profound vein. Moreover, every part of her body from her waist down to toe would feel an unbearable cold every night, causing her to suffer to the point she couldn't even have a proper sleep in a single night since then. Her father, Yang Gaoming, had mobilized the clan's resources to seek for a doctor throughout the Heavenly Fortune nation, but it was futile in the end. Nobody would be able to cure her. This was a sentence from the most famous doctor in the nation. Since then, Yang Mingli was forced out of the successor competition, and other elders in the clan also used this chance to attack Yang Gaoming because he had wasted too many resources on her. And this incident caused Yang Gaoming's patriarch position to shake. She had always been guilty toward her father for all this time. Yang Mingli regained her composure as she asked uncertainly, "My illness can be treated?" Yun Linshan motioned her to sit down. He responded, "Let me check your condition first." Yang Mingli calmed herself down and stretched out her hand for Yun Linshan. The latter grabbed her wrist with a thoughtful expression. Sure enough, all the women here have smooth and elastic skins without using any skincare, unlike women on Earth." Yun Linshan thought while he flicked his hand slightly, and a piece of paper had slipped into Yang Mingli's sleeves. Yang Mingli's face abruptly changed, and she looked at Yun Linshan questioningly. When she saw him staring at her with a serious expression, she seemed to understand something immediately. Yun Linshan retracted his hand and uttered helplessly, "I'm sorry, I can't help you. Your condition is too abnormal. I doubt if there's anyone in Northern Continent who can help you. You should go back and read more medical records. Maybe you can find something." As a woman who had engaged in business management since a young age, she was smart enough to understand a subtle hint behind Yun Linshan's words. She quickly got into an act as she lowered her head and said dejectedly, "I understand. What about my brother? Does Senior have a way to treat him?" Yun Linshan pretended to ponder while giving a thumb up to Yang Mingli in his heart. "Looks like this girl is quite smart." He responded, "I heard that your brother's profound vein has been destroyed. I don't think I can help you with that." Yang Mingli let out a helpless sigh. She stood up and cupped her fists. "Thank you, Senior. Even though Senior can't help me, I am grateful to you. I'll take my leave first." Following that, she turned around and left directly. Xiao Lingling took a deep look at Yun Linshan before she hurriedly followed Yang Mingli out. The crowd heard the conversation between them clearly. They shook their heads and discussed in a low voice. They had already expected this outcome. It would be a surprise if someone could repair a destroyed profound vein. After all, it only existed in a legend. After leaving Yun Linshan's stall, Yang Mingli didn't hurry to go back to her residence. She strolled aimlessly with a sad expression hung on her face. Xiao Lingling wanted to comfort her, but she didn't know what to say. She could only accompany her young mistress silently. In the distance not too far away, a man in gray clothes stared at Yang Mingli for a long time before he took out a transmission jade from his pocket and said in a low voice, "Master, that doctor can't cure her. Do we need to monitor him further? No need, come back." A faint, aged voice resounded back into the man's mind. Instantaneously, his figure blended into the crowd and disappeared from the street. It took an hour later before Yang Mingli went back to her courtyard. She told Xiao Lingling to go out and carefully set up sound and spiritual sense isolation barriers in her room. After confirming there was no one around, Yang Mingli took out a paper from her sleeves and read it. It was the paper that Yun Linshan secretly put into her sleeves earlier. "I can help both of you. However, you have been watching by someone and I don't want to get into your trouble. If you want me to help you, come to me at night. I will wait in the autumn wind inn, room number 7. Remember, be careful when you go out and come with your brother alone. Don't bring your servant along with you." Yang Mingli burned the paper directly after she finished reading. Her face was full of awe and excitement. She never thought that Yun Linshan would be this cautious because she didn't even notice there was someone watching her all this time. Thinking of this, her eyes turned cold as her hands clenched into fists. She was not a fool and well aware there was someone within the clan specifically aimed at her. It's just that they hid too well, rendering her to be helpless. In fact, Yun Linshan had purely guessed about it. When he saw Yang Mingli coming from afar, he managed to identify her condition right away. Yang Mingli was clearly poisoned by a rare poison, ice-threading poison. Without a doubt, she was a victim of a conspiracy. He didn't need to use his brains to know she was being under someone's watch. Yang Mingli closed her eyes and tried to think of a way to sneak out without leaving a trace. Her profound strength was a mere 8th level of the Essence Profound realm. There was no way she could hide her presence from many experts within the Yang Manor. All of a sudden, her eyes lit up as she found a solution. She immediately called Xiao Lingling to come in. "Lingling, I need your help," Yang Mingli said. Xiao Lingling was the person she trusted the most. Asking for her help shouldn't be a problem. "What is it, miss?" "Please do tell." Xiao Lingling was curious. The current Yang Mingli seemed to be different from before. "I want to go out to do something tonight. I need you to cover for me by replacing me. I don't want anyone to know my whereabouts. Can you do it?" Yang Mingli said with a serious expression. Xiao Lingling was confused, but she still nodded her head. "No problem, miss." "What should I do?" Yang Mingli smiled and explained her plan. In a courtyard 100 meters away from Yang Mingli's courtyard, a young man with disheveled hair sat on a chair, drowning himself with a jar of wine. He had a prominent, handsome face, long, sharp eyebrows, and a straight nose bridge. His eyes were sunken, losing their usual lusters. A gloomy aura kept emanating out of his body as if he had long given up on himself. He was the once-generation genius, Yang Chen. Gulp, Yang Chen drank wine directly from the jar as if he was drinking plain water. After he was defeated by Luo Kun, he never stepped out of his courtyard again. Drinking was the only way for him to relieve himself from all the pain and depression. If it wasn't because for his sister, Yang Mingli, he might commit suicide a long time ago. "You should stop drinking already." At this moment, Yang Mingli walked into the room as she said. Looking at her younger brother became like this, her heart ached as if it was torn into shreds. Yang Chen put the jar of wine down and glanced at Yang Mingli with his drowsy eyes. He asked, "What brings you here, sister?" Yang Mingli didn't reply right away. She carefully set up barriers to prevent sound from leaking and sat opposite Yang Chen. "I found a way to repair your profound vein. You have to follow me out tonight," Yang Mingli said calmly. Yang Chen was stunned. His mind jolted awake for a second before he gave a slight chuckle. "You don't have to lie to me, sister. There is no one in the world who can repair a destroyed profound vein." With that, he took another gulp of wine, appeared as he didn't believe in her words. Yang Mingli shook her head. "I didn't lie to you. I really found a miraculous doctor." Yang Chen's hands stopped moving while he stared at Yang Mingli, trying to find something out of her expression. Upon seeing her dead serious expression, he put the jar down and asked uncertainly, "Is it true?" Yang Mingli gave a nod in response, causing Yang Chen's hands to tremble. He shook his head vigorously, trying to get rid of drunkenness, and took a deep breath before he spoke. "What shall we do?" A smile bloomed on Yang Mingli's face, and she handed a servant uniform to him. "Change your clothes into this." "Where are you going?" At the entrance of Yang's manor, a tall guard asked a young girl and a young boy in front of him, both of them wearing veils on their faces. The girl was no other than Xiao Lingling, and the boy was a servant under Yang Mingli. If you looked closely, the young boy had a figure similar to Yang Chen. "Young miss told me to buy something. Is there any problem?" Xiao Lingling replied in a dissatisfied tone. The guard frowned. "What about him?" Xiao Lingling was angry. "What's wrong with you? I need him to help me carry things. Do you want me to call young miss to give you an explanation?" The guard shuddered and shook his head hurriedly. And no. You can go ahead, Xiao Lingling snorted coldly and was about to move away. Suddenly, she slapped her forehead as she spoke. Ah, I forgot my pouch. Following, she turned around and brought the boy with her back to the manor. The guard looked at them for a while. He shook his head and muttered, "This girl is still fierce as usual." 10 minutes later, Xiao Lingling and the boy came back and passed through the gate, while the guard didn't bother to look at them for fearing to provoke her anger once again. However, because of this, he had failed to perceive a peculiar change in both of them. Xiao Lingling seemed to be slightly taller than before. Yun Linchen finished his sumptuous dinner at the Autumn Wind Inn's dining hall and went back to his room afterward. Today, he had spent an enormous amount of profound energy dealing with patients. He was quite exhausted and wanted to take a rest for a while. "You've worked hard." Yun Meilan appeared in the room and looked at Yun Linchen with a smile underneath the black veil. She had witnessed everything he had done for today and was admired his kindness. Yun Linchen was already accustomed to her come and gone out of nowhere behavior. He responded while pouring 2 cups of tea for both of them. "It's nothing." He handed 1 cup of tea to Yun Meilan and asked, "Anyway, Aunt Meilan, I don't quite understand. Why is the level of doctors here being too low? Today, I found that many patients have a simple ailment, yet those doctors can't do anything. This is the capital of the nation. Doctors here shouldn't be this incapable, right? This is too strange." Yun Meilan sipped the tea while listening to Yun Linchen's question. A smile emerged on her lips as she replied, "It's not that their level is too low, but rather your level is too high." Upon hearing this, Yun Linchen frowned slightly. "Yeah, maybe it's true. So it's not that those doctors' skills are too low, but I myself have a wrong common sense. I always thought that my medical knowledge is good, but haven't reached that unprecedented level, and I never compared myself to other sisters in the sect before. No wonder those girls looking at me as if I am a monster whenever I performed treatment," he thought to himself. Seeing Yun Linchen had a thoughtful expression on his face, Yun Meilan continued, "You rarely come out of the sect. It is normal for you to think like this. In the sect, your mother and others rarely tell you about the outside world information because they want you to live carefree without any concern. Take the Sacred Flame sex incident for example. If you haven't discovered it by yourself, they will never tell you about it. I always objecting on this matter because it will harm you in the future, but your mother insists on doing this. Therefore, everyone has to compile her wish. You probably won't believe what your mother has told me before we came here." Yun Linchen raised his brows and asked, "What did she tell you, Aunt Meilan?" Yun Meilan laughed slightly. "She told me to prevent you from inquiring any information as much as I can. However, after I saw your operations during these 2 days, I found out that I should let you do it when you first bribing the city gate's guard to distract him and get a little information out of his mouth. I was quite surprised at how smooth you were. The reason why you asked him where is the best inn and who is the owner because whoever controls the inn is likely to have a ton of information in their possession. Hence, I think your first plan is to approach Hua clan." Yun Meilan took a deep look at Yun Linchen while the latter appeared to be calm without changing his expression in the slightest. She said further, "Instead of going to the Sleepless Inn directly, you probably think it might be too hard to gain anything in a short time. Hence, you chose a relatively small and popular inn instead to learn a general situation first. Coincidentally, you heard something about the young master of Yang clan, and they happen to have heavenly yin iron. Consequently, you changed your original plan and chose to set up a treatment stall in the end. I must say, your luck is too good. Everything seems to get into your plan effortlessly." Yun Linchen took a sip of tea and gave a light shrug to Yun Meilan, confirming her conjecture. Just as Yun Linchen was about to say something, Yun Meilan suddenly frowned and said, "Your targets have arrived." She stood up and vanished from the spot. "It's me, Senior," a female voice rang out from the outside. Yun Linchen immediately recognized Yang Mingli's voice. He went to open the door, welcoming 2 guests into the room. Upon seeing Yun Linchen, Yang Chen's eyes narrowed as he had a doubt in his heart. Yun Linchen was too young to be described as a miraculous doctor. If it wasn't because of Yang Mingli, he would never believe it. Yun Linchen led both of them to the living room, motioning them to sit down and personally poured them a tea. "This must be young Master Yang Chen," Yun Linchen asked as he looked at Yang Chen, who was covered in a gray cloak. Yang Chen didn't say anything in reply. He gave a slight nod, unwilling to say any word. Seeing this, Yang Mingli took a veil off and smiled apologetically at Yun Linchen. "This is my younger brother, Yang Chen. He becomes like this since that incident. I hope Senior don't mind about it." Yun Linchen shook his head. "It's fine, I understand." He took a sip of tea and continued, "Are you sure no one is trailing you?" Yang Mingli nodded firmly. "When I came out, I had prepared a countermeasure beforehand. Besides my trusted servants, no one knows about it." Yun Linshan had a thoughtful expression, and he changed his tone a bit. All right, we should start as soon as possible. He then took out a jade bottle and handed it to Yang Mingli. I'll start with you first. Take this pellet and lay on the bed. Yang Mingli glanced at the jade bottle, and she didn't hesitate to open it as she took a crimson-colored pellet directly. If she hadn't witnessed Yun Linshan's kindness today, she would never take a risk using an unknown pill. Even Yun Linshan had an ulterior motive. She was confident of defeating him. Yang Chen's body tensed up when he saw his sister took the pill. He wanted to stop her, but it was too late. He could only stare at Yun Linshan warily as he was helpless to do anything even he wanted to. Such a decisive girl, Yun Linshan thought and nodded his head approvingly. He ignored Yang Chen's glare and went to the bedside, taking out a set of silver needles from his sleeves. When Yun Linshan grabbed several silver needles, his expression turned solemn immediately. A red light gleamed on the silver needles as Yun Linshan quickly pinned them down on Yang Mingli's profound entrances one by one. Each time, his movements were so quick that the Yang siblings could only see a faint shadow pass by. On the side, Yang Chen was astonished by Yun Linshan's swift actions. When he was young, he was also interested in medical profound art. Even though his talent in this aspect might not be high, he could still recognize Yun Linshan's level. Seeing that Yun Linshan didn't have any malice, the vigilance in Yang Chen's heart had reduced a lot. Ah, a soft moan slipped out of Yang Mingli's petal lips. At this moment, she could feel a raging heat rampaging within her body, as if she had been trapped in a hot cauldron. The soft moan made Yang Chen embarrassed, but it hadn't affected Yun Linshan in the slightest. Droplets of sweat emerged on his forehead. His eyes were focused on each silver needle while he constantly poured profound energy onto them. The moment Yun Linshan saw Yang Mingli, he immediately discovered she was poisoned by the ice-threading poison. This poison had a unique characteristic, traceless and odorless. When the target was inflicted by this poison, their profound vein would become clogged and their progress would be stagnated. Every night, the target's lower body would feel a piercing cold, and it would disperse in the morning. Go fetch water for me, Yun Linshan said in a deep voice. Yang Chen frowned slightly, but he still complied in the end. Yun Linshan snapped his finger, and a small fire condensed on a tip of his finger. He quickly tapped on several spots around Yang Mingli's thighs. The latter let out a loud moan from time to time whenever Yun Linshan's finger tapped on them. Deep down, she was embarrassed to death, but she couldn't prevent it. The only thing she could do was to keep hypnotizing herself, as it was for treatment. Although Yun Linshan was itchy slightly when he heard the heavenly voice, his mind never distracted from what he was doing. When Yang Chen came back with a water bucket, Yun Linshan instructed, "Put it here." Yang Chen went to the bedside and put the bucket down. When he saw his sister's clothes were drenched in sweat, revealing her exquisite figure, Yang Chen had the urge to kick Yun Linshan away, but he had to endure it. After all, Yun Linshan was trying to help her sincerely. Yun Linshan flickered his hand. All the silver needles flew out of Yang Mingli's body. He quickly urged, "Hurry up, put your feet in the bucket." Yang Mingli, who was drenched in sweat, quickly reacted. The moment her feet plunged into the water bucket, a cold mist slowly emanating within the bucket. The water in the bucket gradually turned cold and froze in the end. Yun Linshan threw a small fireball into the bucket and told Yang Mingli to pull her feet out. Only then he wiped the sweat on his forehead and let out a sigh of relief. "It's done," Yun Linshan uttered with a fatigued expression. Yang Mingli hurriedly examined herself. Upon she tried to concentrate on her profound strength, the pain that haunted her for many years was nowhere to be seen. Instantaneously, she grabbed Yun Linshan's hand and cried excitedly, "Thank you. Thank you, Senior. I think you should dry your clothes first." Yun Linshan took a glance at her developed curves and said awkwardly. Yang Mingli came back to her sense when she heard this. She looked down at her clothes, and her face immediately turned red in shame. She hastened back away from Yun Linshan and circulated profound energy to dry her clothes. Yun Linshan tuned to look at the astonished Yang Chen and said, "Let me rest for a while. I'll take care of you later." He closed his eyes, trying to replenish his profound energy. "Senior, can you really help me?" Yang Chen spoke in a trembled voice. His respect toward Yun Linshan had increased tremendously after witnessing Yun Linshan's brilliant skill. Yun Linshan ignored him and focused on replenishing his lost profound energy. Yang Mingli patted Yang Chen's shoulder and shook her head, indicating that he shouldn't disturb Yun Linshan. Both of them turned around and walked back to the living room. "Sister, are you really fine now?" Yang Chen asked in a low voice. Yang Mingli nodded with a brilliant smile. "Yes, I don't feel pain anymore. It's much less congested and faster than before." Yang Chen nodded in reply and fell into deep thought. "I know you still have some doubts. However, as you can see, even my impossible-to-cure disease has been taken care of by Senior. You have to believe in him. It's not like you have a choice anyway." Seeing her younger brother's expression, Yang Mingli said. Yang Chen said nothing, his hands under the table secretly clenched into fists. Luo Kun. I'll definitely pay you back, he vowed in his heart. Yang Mingli clearly perceived her younger brother's moods. She looked at him without saying anything. What about our father? Yang Chen suddenly asked. Yang Mingli frowned slightly. I think Senior should have a solution. However, he doesn't want to be involved in this matter and we cannot bring our father out to see him. I don't know what to do as well. The two fell into silence. They couldn't find a solution for this matter. An hour later, Yun Linshan opened his eyes and let out a long breath. Earlier, he had a faint feeling that he was about to have a breakthrough, but it disappeared in the end. He shook his head, getting rid of his disappointment, and headed to the living room. Senior. Both Yang siblings quickly stood up and greeted Yun Linshan upon seeing him. Yun Linshan nodded and motioned them to sit down. Let me check your profound vein. He then grabbed Yang Chen's wrist. Yun Linshan's brows creased together briefly before his expression loosened afterward. Yang Chen's condition was better than he thought. He spoke. You are quite tough, huh? As expected from a generation genius. Yang Chen and Yang Mingli were confused. Yun Linshan explained, your profound vein isn't completely destroyed. I guess you should use some methods to preserve your life when your opponent trying to cripple you, and it also protected your profound vein along the way. Yang Chen nodded admittedly. Senior, what do you mean by this? Yun Linshan retracted his hand and said, it's mean your condition isn't that hard for me. I can repair your damaged profound vein, however I want to ask you a question. Yang Chen immediately became excited. Senior, please ask. Why would you choose to accept Luo Kun's challenge? In my opinion, you can just ignore him. With the strength of Yang clan, he won't be able to break the marriage contract between you and Hua Wanru anyway. Yun Linshan asked curiously. Yang Chen's body trembled slightly as he lowered his head in shame. Yang Mingli took this chance to answer in her younger brother's stead. I presume that Senior doesn't live here in the capital city. Seeing Yun Linshan gave a light nod in reply, Yang Mingli continued, so that's the case. Actually, among the 6 major clans, our Yang clan might appear to be second after the royal clan in terms of strength. However, in truth, we are actually inferior to Luo clan, mainly because they have support from the royal clan. Hence, even if Yang Chen declined the challenge from Luo Kun, the royal clan would interfere in the end. I see. Yun Linshan suddenly enlightened. The Qi royal clan probably feels that Yang clan could threaten their reign in the future and want to keep them in check by colluding with Luo clan. Whether it fails or success, it won't affect their reputation. Tusk, with power in their hand, it's so easy to control everything. Yun Linshan thought to himself. Yang Mingli said further, even though Hua clan is our allies in the end, they can't resist Luo clan and the pressure from the royal clan. It's normal for them to have no objection. She stopped talking when she saw Yun Linshan raised his hand to interrupt her. It's fine, you don't have to say further. I don't care about these messy political struggles between all of you. Yun Linshan chuckled. I'll get to the point. The reason why I came here and specifically chose to interact with Yang clan is that I want something from your clan. Yang Mingli was surprised slightly and she quickly calmed down as she replied, please do tell Senior. I want Heavenly Yin Iron. Yun Linshan spoke calmly. Heavenly Yin Iron? Yang Mingli and Yang Chen were surprised. Yun Linshan nodded his head. Yes, I need around 5 kilograms. When I heard that your Yang clan has issued a reward for treating your patriarch, I decided to come here to take a look. Yang Mingli suddenly stood up. Senior, do you have a way to cure my father? Yun Linshan's brows raised slightly. I have to see your father by myself first. However, as you can see, I don't want to get involved in your disputes. You can just tell me his condition and I will try to give you a method. Yang Mingli was about to say something, but Yun Linshan interrupted her. We will talk about this later. Let's treat your brother first. He turned to Yang Chen and said, I have 2 choices for you. First, I will repair your damaged profound vein and you will regain the ability to practice. Second, besides repairing your damaged profound vein, I can use a method to improve it. Your profound vein will be tougher and the absorption rate will increase as well. However, this method is extremely dangerous and very painful. You may die in the process. Moreover, I haven't done this to anyone before. So the choice is yours. Both Yang siblings' expressions changed drastically. Yang Mingli looked at Yang Chen worriedly. With her younger brother's temper, he definitely chose the second method without hesitation. She didn't want him to take a risk. Yang Chen clenched his fists and answered firmly, I choose the second method. Yun Linshan wasn't surprised about this. As someone with a protagonist-like name and was driven by a revenge plot, it was normal for Yang Chen to choose this way. He took a small leather bag out, handing it to Yang Mingli and said, very well, I need you to prepare hot water and throw all of these medicinal ingredients into it. Yang Mingli hesitated for a moment as she wanted to persuade Yang Chen to give up this choice. However, when she saw an unwavering determination in his eyes, she could only swallow everything back and went to prepare the water. Yun Linshan looked at Yang Chen for a while. He said, "Are you ready?" Yang Chen stared back at Yun Linshan and uttered firmly, "Let's do it. Senior doesn't have to worry. If I died, my sister won't do anything to you." Hearing this, Yun Linshan shrugged his shoulders without care. He never believed in something like oaths or promises. If Yang Chen died in his hand, he was quite sure Yang Mingli won't let this matter rest. "Come." When Yun Linshan saw Yang Mingli came back, he beckoned Yang Chen to follow him to the bathroom. In the bathroom, there was a wooden tub with translucent water mixing with various medicinal herbs, emitting a medicinal fragrance spread throughout the room. "Get in," Yun Linshan told Yang Chen. Yang Chen slowly got into the wooden tub. The moment his body soaked into the medicinal water, he could feel an extremely comfortable sensation seeped into every pore of his body. Yun Linshan came to the wooden tub's side. After he took a deep breath, he spoke, "I'm going to start now." Without waiting for Yang Chen to reply, a bright green light lit up on the top of Yun Linshan's finger as he struck on Yang Chen's left shoulder. Puff. Arg! Yang Chen let out a painful cry involuntarily. Blood spurted out of his mouth, turning the water red. His face was constantly distorted in agony. Yun Linshan raised his finger once again and struck Yang Chen's arm, making the latter screaming in pain once again. According to a medical profound art, the remnant record of life that he studied for all these years, there were 3 ways to repair a damaged profound vein. First, using a divine elixir. Yun Linshan didn't know what was the divine elixir because the highest level of the elixir he had seen before was only rank 9. And even he won't be able to find it anyway. The second method was simply connecting every profound entrance on the profound vein one by one. In this method, the doctor needed to be a wood element user and extremely proficient in medical profound art. The complication in this method was how to handle the complicated profound vein when connecting them together. However, for Yun Linshan, this method was the easiest one. Lastly, the current method that Yun Linshan had performed right now. Yun Linshan called it the breaking vein method. This method was basically destroyed everything and rebuilt it with the help of medicinal elixirs. It was perilous, as the target might not be able to hold on because of the immense pain and died before the process was completed. While the treatment continuing, Yang Mingli couldn't bear to see her younger brother in pain. She bit her lips hard and turned her head away. At this moment, Yun Linshan was already covered in sweat entirely. He constantly popped up energy replenish pills into his mouth from time to time throughout the process. It took Yun Linshan 30 minutes to completely snap every profound entrance on Yang Chen's body. The next step was to connect all of them together. "Not bad, you're quite tough." Yun Linshan wiped the sweat on his forehead and gave Yang Chen a compliment. Yang Chen was now pale as white paper. His upper body was covered in blood and his eyes turned bloodshot. The past 30 minutes was the most painful moment he had ever experienced since he was born. Even when Luo Kun destroyed his profound vein, it was miles behind this. There were several moments he thought he would step into the death gate. The reason he could hold on was that he wanted revenge. He was unwilling to die like this. Even he had to die. At least he needed to repay his hatred first. Yun Linshan let out a long breath while trying to replenish his profound energy. Meanwhile, Yang Mingli on the side was relieved after seeing Yang Chen was fine. No one could understand how nervous she was earlier. After Yun Linshan regained his profound energy, he quickly used several silver needles on Yang Chen. Both of his hands were covered in bright green profound light before he started to connect Yang Chen's shattered profound vein together piece by piece. His movement was insanely fast and precise. Every time Yun Linshan touched, Yang Chen could feel an obvious change in his profound vein, causing him to become ecstatic and had completely forgotten all the pain. Thud. An hour later, Yun Linshan suddenly slumped onto the ground after he finished connected all Yang Chen's profound vein. His face was pale as white sheets, drenching in sweat. He had spent every ounce of his profound energy in order to perform this technique. "Senior," Yang Mingli hurriedly came to Yun Linshan's side, trying to pull him up. Yun Linshan currently had no strength left in his body. If Yang Mingli wanted to kill him, he won't be able to put up any defense at all. At the corner of the room, Yun Meilan stared at Yun Linshan with a worried expression underneath her black veil. She was ready to take action at any time if something happened. Fortunately, she was the one who accompanied Yun Linshan on this trip. Had it been Yun Kaiangsu, both Yang siblings would have been dead by now. "It's fine." Yun Linshan sat on the ground, leaning on the wall, and said faintly. Yang Mingli was agitated. At the same time, she was deeply moved by Yun Linshan's action. He had spent great efforts to help her and Yang Chen. This grace was too heavy. What Yun Linshan had done for them was akin to giving them a new lease on life. She understood there was no way she could repay him with her current status. "Senior, both of us siblings will engrave this kindness into our hearts forever." In the future, if Senior need us to do anything, please don't hesitate to tell us. As for Heavenly Yin Iron, I will bring it to you tomorrow, Yang Mingli said solemnly. Splash! At this moment, Yang Chen jumped out of the wooden tub, examining himself excitedly. He discovered that he could feel the profound energy around him once again, and his strength had slowly recovered bit by bit. His body was full of vigor and vitality like he never had before. Stop. Don't absorb profound energy, Yun Linchen shouted. Yang Chen was startled for a second before he nodded his head. You need to wait a week before you can start practice again. Also, it would be better to hide your condition. You should understand what I mean, Yun Linchen said and gave them a meaningful gaze. Yang Mingli and Yang Chen looked at each other and nodded their heads in agreement. If this matter was to spread out, all of them would face endless trouble in no time. At the same time, as long as they couldn't find the hidden threats within their clan, the history would definitely repeat itself once again, and this time Yang Mingli might not end up only being poisoned. As for Yang Chen, Luo Kun would never stop at destroying Yang Chen's profound vein. Senior, you gave me a second life. I, Yang Chen, will remember this grace for the rest of my life. Yang Chen walked to Yun Linchen and knelt down in front of him. Yun Linchen smiled slightly. This is just a transaction. You don't have to take this matter to heart anyway. I wish you good luck on your redemption. His strength had returned a bit. He slowly stood up and went to the living room. Let's talk about your father's condition. Yun Linchen poured himself a tea and said. Yang Mingli had a serious expression as she spoke. 5 months ago, we don't know what's exactly going on. Suddenly, our father never woke up again. The doctor said his body is fine, but there is something happened to his soul. No matter how many doctors have come, they can't do anything about it. Yun Linchen's brows creased together while he contemplating this matter. The information was too vague and useless. Even his medical knowledge was vast as the ocean. He couldn't pin down the right judgment. Yang Chen hesitated briefly and said, I don't know if this is related to father's condition. Back in the day, I saw a small black flower shape on his chest. I don't think our father has it before he becomes like this. Yun Linchen's brows raised, black flower pattern. Is it like this? He then took out a paper and brush, drawing something on it. On the paper, it was a flower pattern with 5 leaves similar to a lotus shape. When Yang Chen saw it, he immediately exclaimed, yes. This, Yang Mingli's eyes lit up with a glimmer of hope. Yun Linchen apparently recognized this strange flower pattern. She was confident that he definitely had a way to deal with it. Her faith and trust in Yun Linchen had already reached an unprecedented high to the point she blindly believed there was no element in the world that he couldn't deal with. Yun Linchen exhaled a cold breath. 5 leaves soul extinguished poison. He looked at the siblings and explained, this is the incredibly rare poison. It's an extremely cruel one. When the target was poisoned by this, the target's soul will be trapped within the soul gate and losing control over the body. The 5 leaves represent the remaining times of the target, each leaf equal to 1 year. This means your father has 5 years left. Usually, this kind of poison will be deployed to torture the target. Even though the target couldn't control the body, he could still perceive everything around him. The Yang siblings looked at each other and saw the horror in each other's eyes. They immediately understood what it meant extremely cruel by Yun Linchen's word. Whoever had been poisoned by this 5 leaves soul extinguished poison had to witness everything that happened around them, but they couldn't do anything. There was nothing more tormented than watching your family and comrades dying in front of you while you were helpless to save them. Senior, I'm begging you, please help my father, Yang Mingli cried agitatedly while Yang Chen lowered his head as his fists were clenching in anger. Yun Linchen smiled faintly. Don't worry, I have a way to detoxify it. However, I need several medicinal ingredients. I will give you a list. He then wrote something on another paper. Both Yang siblings' faces flushed red in excitement upon hearing this. They didn't know what to say anymore. Yun Linchen in front of them was simply a reincarnation of a saint doctor. It seemed he could deal with any ailment in this world. When Yun Linchen handed the list to Yang Mingli, the latter quickly skimmed through it and gave a reply excitedly. We are lucky. Our Yang treasury has all of them. Really, sister? Yang Chen grabbed Yang Mingli's hand in elation. Yang Mingli nodded firmly. Well, that's good. Tomorrow you can bring all the ingredients for me. I'll concoct a pill for you. Also, don't forget about the heavenly yin iron. Yun Linchen said, rest assured, senior, I will send them to you. Yang Mingli answered with a serious expression. Yun Linchen nodded. You should be cautious during this time. When you go back, you can eat this pill. Yun Linchen gave Yang Mingli a jade bottle and said further, this will help you appear like you still have the poison in your body. Your enemy won't be able to detect it. As for young Master Yang, it would be best if you never stepped out of your room before you could regain your former profound strength. My last advice is that both of you should never trust anyone in your clan. Yang Mingli took a deep breath and replied, understood, senior. she was not a fool. To poison her and her father without a trace, undoubtedly the culprit must be someone within the clan. She had to identify the culprit first before she could reveal anything. All right, you should go back. Yun Linshan waved his hand. He was so tired and needed a rest. We will take our leave now. Rest well, senior. The Yang siblings stood up, giving Yun Linshan a deep bow before they left. When the siblings left, Yun Malin's figure appeared in the room, staring at Yun Linshan and spoke gently. Are you okay? Yun Linshan smiled weakly in reply before he fell out of the chair and faint directly. Yun Malin quickly caught him and brought him to the bed. After confirming there was nothing wrong with Yun Linshan, she let out a sigh of relief as she muttered, What kind of monster are you? On the next morning, Yun Linshan slowly opened his eyes. He rubbed his forehead and tried to recall what was happened last night. The last thing he remembered was Yun Malin asking him something, and his consciousness immediately blacked out afterward. How are you? Yun Malin's voice rang out from the side. She was sitting on the chair and leisurely enjoying a cup of tea. Yun Linshan got up and asked, How long did I sleep, Aunt Malin? 12 hours. It's noon now, Yun Malin answered. Yun Linshan stretched his body lazily and walked to the table, pouring himself a tea. He could still feel a wave of fatigue within his body. What are you going to do next? Yun Malin gave him a warm water bucket and asked. Yun Linshan happily received the bucket and washed his face before he replied, Set up a stall again. We have to make it as nothing happened. If my guess is correct, there should be someone staring at me all this time. It should be the conspirator behind Yang Clan's incident. Yun Malin nodded. You are right, I found at least 2 of them. One came from Yang Clan, another is Luo Clan's lackey. Yun Linshan laughed slightly. This Luo Clan is probably getting nervous. Yun Linshan then stood up. Aunt Malin, I'm going to find something to eat now. After finishing his meal, Yun Linshan headed to set up the stall in the previous location once again. When he arrived, he discovered there were many people gathered around his stall. Each one of them had an eager expression on their face. It seemed his reputation had already spread throughout the city. Yun Linshan sat on the chair and beckoned the crowd to line up. He then started to treat them one by one. 2 hours later, a commotion suddenly occurred among the onlookers because of the arrival of a group of people. Leading was a handsome young man clad in luxury white robes embroidered with a dragon pattern. His eyes were sharp, brimming with confidence. Following him was a beautiful young girl in green clothes. Her long hair was tied neatly on the back, revealing her snow-white neck. She had an almond face, bright eyes, slender brows, and cherry lips. Every movement of her radiating a noble and delicate charm. Behind them, there were 3 masculine men dressing in guard uniforms with a Luo badge on their chests, showing the identities of the 2 in the front were not normal. The crowd voluntarily paved a way for them as they recognized this group's identity. The 3 guards quickly formed into a formation, blocking people from approaching their master. The young man saw Yun Linshan didn't pay attention to him. He took a step forward and introduced himself. Yesterday, I heard there was a miraculous doctor appeared here in our capital city. Today, I've seen you by myself. Young doctor is really extraordinary, as the rumors said. My name is Luo Kun. May I know your name? His voice was loud, full of arrogance. Yun Linshan retrieved the silver needles from the patient in front of him and said, You are fine now. Go back and take a good rest. The patient hurriedly bowed his head and quickly slipped away. Luo Kun frowned slightly upon being ignored by Yun Linshan. A moment later, he suddenly smiled and said, Sure enough. I heard that this young doctor gave no one face. Looks like it's true. You sure have a character, truly admirable. Yun Linshan took a sip of tea and finally took a glance at Luo Kun with a smile. He said, I don't know what brings young Master Luo here. From my observation, you don't seem to have any ailment. Just as Luo Kun was about to reply, Yun Linshan said further, However, the young lady behind you, there is a certain poison in your body. May I know, do you want me to help you get rid of it? His words caused the young girl to look at him in surprise. A ray of hope flashed across her eyes shortly before it dimmed down. Luo Kun's face abruptly changed when he heard this. He glanced at the young girl behind him and turned to look at Yun Linshan with a serious expression. His eyes narrowed. You deserve to be called a genius doctor. However, the so-called genius, in my opinion, is nothing. Without strength to protect themselves, they are no better than an ordinary mortal. I think you should pay more attention to your safety more from now on. After all, I don't want to see such a young, talented doctor become a corpse in the following day. Perhaps the crowds were already accustomed to Luo Kun's arrogance. They didn't surprise at all when they heard him blatantly threatening Yun Linshan like this. Damn, the classic young master finally appeared. I thought this Luo Kun guy would be different from the typical young master. It turned out that he is a brainless kid in the end. Everything he did is exactly according to the script. Dared to threaten me? Hee, let's see how I am going to play with you. Yun Linshan snickered inwardly. An amused smile appeared on Yun Linshan's lips as he responded, Thank you for reminding me, young Master Luo. I presume that the young lady must be young Miss Hua Wanru, am I correct? The young girl glanced at Luo Kun for a second before she gave a confirmed nod in reply. Yun Linshan said further, the poison in your body is actually very easy to detoxify. You can boil 5 grams of 30 years old 3 leaves lotus, 10 grams of blood ginseng, 3 grams of blue spirit grass, and a pinch of essence profound beast's bone powders. 1 bowl of this, the poison in your body will be gone. Yun Linshan was wondered in his heart why there are so many poisons here. Don't tell me they don't have any other methods to harm each other. Maybe this Luo clan is proficient in poison besides spear art. Many questions appeared in his head. Hua Wanru looked at Yun Linshan with an incredible expression. She quickly recited Yun Linshan's words in her mind without caring about the angry Luo Kun on the side. Luo Kun's face turned red from anger. However, instantaneously, his expression returned to normal, causing Yun Linshan to raise his brows in surprise. Luo Kun suddenly laughed and said, "Hee hee, young doctor is too kind. I heard that yesterday you gave several gold coins to many people. I don't know if you've ever followed the news recently." Yun Linshan looked at Luo Kun calmly without changing his expression, but there was a bad premonition in his heart. Luo Kun dragged a smile and continued, "Last night there are many robberies occurring around the city. All the victims were the people that received your money yesterday. Tusk, tusk, tusk. I wonder what are you thinking at that time to give them something that cost them their lives?" Luo Kun suddenly patted his forehead and said with a false, shocked expression, "No way. Don't tell me you already expect this. Pretend to help people, but the reality, you sent them to death. Tusk, I must say, doctor, you are quite insidious." Yun Linshan's brows creased together shortly upon hearing bad news. In fact, he'd thought of this before, but he also thought that there was no one stupid enough to challenge the city's security team. However, he had underestimated and miscalculated it. He'd overlooked a young master like Luo Kun. Undoubtedly, the death of those people was related to Luo Kun. Yun Linshan's eyes turned sharp. "Indeed, I have already expected this to happen." His words caused a clamor among the crowd as they looked at him in disbelief. An evil smile emerged on Luo Kun's lips. He was about to speak, but Yun Linshan suddenly interrupted him. "I thought that the security in this city is good enough to protect them, but I am wrong in the end. I have overlooked that there is indeed someone who could ignore the rules and do whatever he wanted. Even killing someone would be a simple task for him." The onlookers were not a fool. They had figured out instantly when they hearing this. Many of them instinctively glanced at Luo Kun. The meaning in their eyes was clear. Luo Kun was without a doubt behind all of this. It was no wonder he had come to provoke Yun Linshan today. Thinking of this, everything seemed to make sense. Luo Kun's face instantly turned unsightly. When he received the information about Yun Linshan yesterday, he had decided to bring Yun Linshan to serve Luo clan directly. However, when he thought of Yun Linshan's extremely kind and indifferent to the people from major clans, he was certain Yun Linshan would reject him. Therefore, he came up with this plan, killing every patient and using this to subdue Yun Linshan. Now his plan failed miserably. Yun Linshan did not become a subject of public anger, but he was exposed instead. "Shut up," Luo Kun yelled out. The crowd instantly quieted down. Luo Kun glared at Yun Linshan with a wicked smile as he said, "It seems you can't be subdued by a little mean. Then what about using force? Capture him." He gave an order to his 3 bodyguards. Yun Linshan's eyes narrowed as his profound energy surged, preparing to engage in a battle. "I want to see who dares to make a ruckus here in our Yang's territory." Just as Yun Linshan about to shoot, a thunderous female voice roared out from afar. Yang Mingli passed through the crowd along with several guards following behind her. Her arrival caused Luo Kun's guards to stop their movement. "Oh, isn't that young Miss Yang? It's me who makes a ruckus here. What are you going to do?" Luo Kun turned to look at Yang Mingli and gave a provocation. Yang Mingli arrived at Yun Linshan's stall and ordered her guards, "Capture these 3. "Yes, young miss," the guards responded and quickly shot forward at the trio. Luo Kun's expression changed drastically. He never thought Yang Mingli would be so decisive and ignored him completely. "What are you going to do? Are you trying to provoke my Luo clan?" Luo Kun yelled loudly in anger. Yang Mingli didn't bother to reply as she watched her guards subdued Luo Kun's subordinates effortlessly. She then turned to Yun Linshan and said with a smile, "Senior, I'm sorry. I was late." Yun Linshan cupped his fists. "Thank you, young Miss Yang, for helping me. Otherwise, I would be doomed by now." Yang Mingli smiled faintly. She didn't believe Yun Linshan did not have any trump card in his sleeves. When she saw him being so calm despite he was surrounded by 3 people with strength entirely above his realm, she believed he had a way to deal with them. Seeing his subordinates were captured, Luo Kun gritted his teeth angrily as he said, "I see. It seems young Miss Yang hasn't put my Luo clan in your eyes. I'll let our elders deal with your Yang clan later." Following that, he flicked his sleeves and walked away without looking at his subordinates. Greetings, big sis Mingli. Hua Wanru stepped forward and greeted Yang Mingli. Yang Mingli gave her a smile and replied softly, Wanru, you have suffered all this time. Hua Wanru shook her head. I'm fine. Luo Kun didn't dare to do anything excessive to me. She turned to Yun Linshan and gave him a bow. Thank you, senior, for giving me the prescription. Wanru will definitely repay this kindness in the future. Wanru will take my leave first. Hua Wanru nodded her head gently at Yang Mingli and walked away in Luo Kun's direction. Such a good girl, Yang Mingli lamented softly. Yun Linshan didn't care much about the drama between them. He looked at Yang Mingli and inquired, what about the items? Yang Mingli replied in a low voice, I've sent all of them to Senior's room already. Senior can go back to check it. Yun Linshan nodded his head. Okay, you can come to retrieve the pills tonight. He turned to the onlookers and shouted, my apologies, everyone. I am tired today. I will take my leave first. With that, he headed back to the autumn wind indirectly. Yang Mingli waved her hand, ordering her guards to release Luo Kun's subordinates. She said, go back and tell your master. Next time, he shouldn't come here to make trouble. Otherwise, he won't be able to leave freely like he did today. She then turned around and left the scene. Yun Linshan arrived at his room and saw several wooden boxes lying on the living room's floor. A smile appeared on his face as he hurriedly checking all the boxes. Finally, I can go back. Yun Linshan smiled in a good mood while looking at a deep blue-colored chunk of iron in front of him. This cold iron was no other than the heavenly yin iron he was looking for. Congratulations. Yun Meilan's figure appeared in the room. She looked at Yun Linshan and asked, why did you intentionally anger that Luo Kun? Did you see his men? Each one of them could easily take you down. Why are you so impulsive today? Yun Linshan laughed slightly. I'm sorry for making you worry, Aunt Meilan. I can't help it. When I see his arrogant attitude, I just want to tease him a bit. At the same time, I know there would be someone informing Yang Mingli after I showed up on the street. I'd long expected her to come. Yun Meilan took a deep look at Yun Linshan and finally let the matter go. She sat down on the chair and brewing a tea without a word. Yun Linshan knew he had done something wrong earlier and made her worry. He quickly changed the topic. I'll start to concoct the pill now. He took out a copper cauldron that he bought yesterday on the way back to the inn and started refining all the relevant ingredients. The concoction process was smooth sailing and extremely fast. It took an hour for Yun Linshan to refine all the ingredients and another 2 hours to concoct the pill. The pill Yun Linshan refined was a rank 5 soul return pill. During his stay in the Misty Cloud sect, Yun Linshan had refined this pill several times under Yun Kingru's guidance. Thus, it was no problem for him to do it again. Wiping sweat on his forehead, Yun Linshan took 9 azure-colored pellets into a jade bottle before he closed his eyes, replenishing his profound energy. Yun Meilan observed the entire process on the side and was amazed by Yun Linshan's concoction speed. What kind of monster are you? Even Sister Kingru might not necessarily have this kind of speed. What is your origin exactly? Several questions popped up in her mind. At this moment, a footstep sound could be heard from the outside. Yun Meilan frowned slightly and reminded Yun Linshan, that little girl has arrived. Her figure instantly vanished from the place afterward. Yun Linshan opened his eyes and looked toward the door until he heard Yang Mingli's voice coming from the outside. Senior, it's me. He went to open the door and let Yang Mingli came in. When she stepped into the room, Yang Mingli could smell a strong medicinal fragrance, causing her to look forward to the pill. Without waiting for her to say anything, Yun Linshan handed the jade bottle to Yang Mingli. Here, this is the pill. Give your father at least 3 pellets in 1-hour intervals. He will be fine. Yang Mingli clutched the jade bottle tightly as she gave a deep bow to Yun Linshan. On behalf of Yang Clan, I sincerely appreciate your kindness, and from now on, Senior will be our friend forever. Yun Linshan didn't have much reaction on this matter. He only gave her a slight nod. All right, I appreciate that. My task here is done and I will leave tonight. All the best to you and your clan. Yang Mingli took a deep breath and said, I understand, Senior. I wish you a safe journey. Also, please be careful when you go out of the city. I fear that Luo Kun might deploy someone to deal with you. If Senior needs my help, please don't hesitate to tell me. It's okay. I don't need your help. I can deal with it. Yun Linshan replied calmly. A strange light flashed across his eyes. In fact, he was looking forward to it. By the way, I think you better tell your father to stay in that state for a while before you found the mole. In my opinion, whoever has the most ambition should be the culprit in this matter. I believe you can figure it out by yourself. Good luck, said Yun Linshan. Although he didn't want to get involved in their dispute, he still cared about the Yang siblings a bit as he firmly believed this Yang Chen would become a noble figure in the future. It won't be a waste to befriend them. Thank you, Senior. I think I have already known who is the inner ghost. Yang Mingli answered solemnly. Yun Linshan could see strong confidence from her expression. He said, you should go back. Yang Mingli took a deep look at Yun Linshan as if she wanted to engrave his image into her mind. This departure might last forever. Who knows if they would come across again in the future. Yun Linshan didn't say anything further and started packing everything, preparing to go back. Before Yang Mingli walked out of the room, she turned around and said, "Senior, I hope we can meet again in the future." Yun Linshan turned around and let out a chuckle. Who knows, that future might be sooner more than you think. Yang Mingli gave another deep bow to Yun Linshan and strode out of the room. Upon seeing her departure, Yun Linshan quickly stored everything into his interspatial ring and left the inn, heading toward the eastern city gate. At the corner of the street, a tall figure kept staring at Yun Linshan before he followed him behind silently. Yun Linshan walked unhurriedly while he appreciating the night scenery of the capital city. His mind once again drifted to the distant past when he was on Earth. The last 3 years before his death, his life was simple: wake up in the morning, doing some exercise before eating his favorite breakfast at a market street. In his spare time, he would read all kinds of novels and went to open a fried rice stall in the evening. His life at that time was fulfilled and peaceful. "I kind of missing that life," Yun Linshan muttered to himself in a low voice. An hour later, Yun Linshan finally left the capital city, and he headed toward the forest 10 kilometers away, ignoring the man who trailed behind him all this time. This forest was known as the Crimson Mysterious Forest, and it was inhabited by a variety of profound beasts, making it very dangerous. Even the Heavenly Fortune capital city's military unit and practitioners who practiced in the profound ways, who were known for their strength, only dared to move around in the outermost parts of the forest. When one ventured deeper into the forest, higher-leveled profound beasts would be encountered, and this often ended with narrow escapes. The reason why the forest was named the Crimson Mysterious Forest was that all the trees around this place would magically turn into crimson color, no matter what species the tree was. Passing through a dense tree path, Yun Linshan arrived at the small hill with a dead end. He paused his movement, turning around, and said calmly, "Come out. I know you have been following me for a long time now." Behind a shade of tree distant away from Yun Linshan, a tall man slowly emerged from a shadow. He dressed in gray robes with leather armor. His facial features couldn't be seen because of a weird wooden mask on his face. In his right hand, there was a long sword looking very sharp. "Since you already know I have followed you, why don't you try to stay in the city instead of coming out? Is it courageous or stupid?" the masked man said with a hint of ridiculous in his voice. Yun Linshan smiled faintly. "Let me guess, Luo Kun sent you here," the masked man chuckled. "Who else? At first, young Master Luo wants to keep your pitiful life by letting you serve our Luo clan wholeheartedly. What a pity you choose to offend him instead. Serving Luo clan, are you guys worthy? Come on, don't waste my time." Yun Linshan replied as he took out a wooden bow and arrow from his interspatial ring. The moment he knocked the arrow, a powerful aura instantly burst out of his body. He aimed at the masked man shortly and quickly released the arrow. The arrow shot at the masked man with the ear-piercing sound of space being torn apart, but he didn't seem to bother about it as he laughed wildly because he discovered Yun Linshan had the interspatial ring. It seemed he was about to earn big tonight. A red profound light flashed across his long sword while he slashed at the incoming arrow. Bang! The arrow was promptly cut in half and the masked man dashed forward at Yun Linshan. In a span of 2 seconds, he already arrived in front of Yun Linshan and swung his sword at Yun Linshan's head without hesitation. However, before the sword could touch the target, his movement abruptly stopped midway. His eyes widened open in disbelief as he looked down at his chest. On his chest, he could see a tip of a short sword piercing through his heart from behind, along with a burst of profound energy, rendering him to lose all of his strength. Puff! Instantaneously, the masked man's head was cut off, his body slowly falling down onto the ground. Behind a curtain of blood, Yun Malan's figure appeared in Yun Linshan's vision. The short sword in her hand was smeared with scarlet blood as droplets of blood slowly ticking down drop by drop. Under the illuminated moonlight, her figure appeared to be illusory, blending into the surrounding shadow. What kind of origin Profound Realms warrior is this? Why is he so poor? Yun Linshan rummaged through the masked man's remains, searching for something. He couldn't help but curse when he couldn't find any valuable item on his corpse. Yun Malan looked at Yun Linshan speechlessly. This was the first time she saw him acting like a greedy bandit. "Let's go, Aunt Malan," Yun Linshan said while throwing out a fireball at the corpse. Both of them faded into the deep forest afterward. Misty Cloud Sect, you lose. In the ice chamber, an elegant woman in snow robes said to Yun Kaiengsu, who sat opposite her as she moved a piece of chess across a chessboard. The woman's countenance could be described as heroic beauty. Whether it was her long, sharp eyebrows, prominent nose bridge, and rosy thin lips, everything was flawless. Her curly black hair hanging freely on her shoulders added to her charm. She exuded a cold and calm aura, making her appear aloof, transcend the dust of the world. She was the first hall master, Yun Ruinyu. I don't want to play anymore. You are bullying me, Sister Ruinyu. Yun Kaingsu pouted annoyingly. If someone saw her current appearance, they would definitely be shocked to the core. The dignified and always remained indifferent sect master was capable to act like a young girl in her youth. Yun Ruinyu shook her head with a faint smile hung on her lips. Your mind is not in the right place. With Malin on his side, except for Qi Kaixing, there is no one could threaten his safety. You should put your worry down and be at ease. I know, but I am helpless to deal with it. I just can't get rid of this uneasy feeling in my heart, Yun Kaixu replied while her eyes kept looking in the transmission point's direction. Yun Ruinyu laughed helplessly at Yun Kaixu's restless appearance. She changed the topic. What is the latest situation? Yun Kaixu turned her eyes back to Yun Ruinyu as she answered, that old bastard Hugh has reached an agreement with the profound sword sect yesterday. Heth, they fought each other for 1,000 years, but now they are banding together. I guess that idiot's surname Jai is probably having a hole in his brain. Yun Ruinyu sighed, it's inevitable. After all, Qi Kaixing is standing behind the sacred flame sect. How could Jai Muchen dare to disagree? This time, I'm afraid, we are going to face the greatest calamity since the sect has existed. A silence descended as both of them fell into deep thought. The incoming crisis was unavoidable, and it was hard for them to resist. With the combination of the Qi royal clan, sacred flame sect, profound sword sect, and possibly Luo clan, the Misty Cloud sect might face an annihilation threat this time. However, with the heaven-suppressing formation, we could hold on for a while. Unless Qi Kaixing takes action by himself, I don't think anyone has the ability to break it. Yun Ruinyu broke the silence. Yun Kaixu shook her head. No matter how strong the formation is, it won't last forever. As a sect master, I couldn't always hide behind the formation like a turtle and watch them insulting us. Otherwise, how am I going to face our ancestors? During their reigns, no one is allowed to insult us, and it will be the same during my reign. A strong killing intent flashed across her cold eyes while she was speaking. Yun Ruinyu nodded her head in agreement. She said with great determination, "You are right, even we have to die, we won't let them get what they wanted." At this moment, there was a fluctuation occurred around the transmission point, causing Yun Kaixu's eyes to brighten instantly. With a flash, her figure appeared before the transmission profound formation nearby the treasury. A white light around the formation slowly dispersed, revealing two silhouettes behind it. Naturally, they were Yun Linchen and Yun Malin, who just returned from the trip. "Mom, I'm back," Yun Linchen spoke upon seeing Yun Kaixu. Yun Kaixu moved to embrace him with a charming smile on her lips. "It's good, you are back." Mom worried to death. Yun Linchen was suffocated by a soft sensation. He was helpless inwardly by her clingy habit. "Are you hurt somewhere? Let Mom see," Yun Kaixu asked concernedly while her hands moving up and down on his body. "Mom, I'm fine." Yun Linchen was embarrassed and quickly slipped out of her embrace. As a man, how could he let a woman molest him freely? He had to be the initiator. It's just that he didn't dare to do anything back to Yun Kaixu. Yun Kaixu scanned his body up and down for a moment. When she saw a stain of blood on his sleeves, her eyes widened open. "Where did you get this blood stain from?" She turned to Yun Malin and yelled angrily, "Yun Malin, give me an explanation." Yun Malin and Yun Ruinyu, who just arrived earlier, looked at each other speechlessly. Yun Linchen pulled Yun Kaixu's arm and said softly, "Mom, this is not my blood, it's the enemy's blood. Aunt Malin killed him and I touched his corpse when I was searching for his belongings." Hearing this, Yun Kaixu breathed out a sigh of relief. However, her eyes still fixated on Yun Malin with dissatisfaction. "Enemy. Which bastard dared to attack my son?" Yun Linchen patted his forehead helplessly as he quickly changed the topic. "Mom, it's okay. You see, nothing happened to me. Let's go. I am hungry now." Only then Yun Kaixu's complexion loosened a bit as she grabbed Yun Linchen and headed to her chamber under Yun Malin and Yun Ruinyu's gaze. "You made a wise decision to prevent her from accompanying him on the trip. Otherwise, the capital city would turn upside down because of her by now," Yun Ruinyu said gently. "Yun Malin, let's go. Tell us what you got." Yun Ruinyu beckoned. The two of them walked toward Yun Ruinyu's chamber direction. "So he tried to make you serve his clan and even sent someone to kill you, HMPH. What a good Luo clan." Yun Kaixu's expression turned cold upon hearing Yun Linchen's narration. An immense killing intent flashed across her eyes. The surrounding temperature seemed to drop significantly, causing Yun Linchen to shiver slightly. Yun Linchen hurriedly patted her hand and said, "Mom, calm down, you don't have to be angry at them. They are not worthy. Come, let's eat." He then using chopsticks to pick a vegetable up and put it in her bowl. Yun Kaixu's knitted brows loosened slightly. She asked, "Are you sure you still want to take part in this blazing sun mythical realm? Once they see you again, I don't think they will let you go easily. No, Mom forbid you to go. Yun Linshan drank a mouthful of water before he replied, I have to go, Mom. You have to believe in me, I have a way to deal with them. Let alone Luo Kun, even if there are 10 of him, I don't think they could do anything to me. You should know about that. Besides, it's not that I'm going alone. Yun Kaingsu shook her head. I know you can use a profound formation to deal with them at ease, but you can't rely on it all the time, right? What if they caught you in surprise? How could you have time to set up a formation? Yun Linshan nodded. Well, what you said is correct. However, Mom, my concealment ability is not weak as you think. Although I can't hide my presence from those in spirit profound realm, I have no problem dealing with anyone in the essence profound realm. If you don't believe, we can try after this meal. He was confident in his ability to conceal himself. After all, he was training under Yun Meilan's guidance for several years. Yun Kaingsu stared at him for a while until she was finally convinced. All right, Mom won't stop you anymore. However, you have to practice with me every day from now on. Deal, Yun Linshan accepted with a smile. Meanwhile, in another chamber distant away, in addition to Yun Meilan, Yun Ruinyu, and Yun Qingru, there were another 2 persons gathered together around an ice table. One was a petite woman with shoulder-length short hair. She was the 3rd hall master, Yun Huingxin. Another one was a chubby woman with her hair tied into a ponytail. She was the 4th hall master, Yun Lingwei. Hurry up, Sister Meilan. Tell us about it, Yun Lingwei urged while her hand continuing to stuff pastries into her mouth, making her cheek bulged like a gluttonous baby. Her big, rounded eyes staring at Yun Meilan without blinking. Hey, fatty 4th. Aren't you preparing for a breakthrough? Why did you suddenly come out? Yun Huingxin asked annoyingly, her small hand trying to grab the pastry on the ice table, but she was slower than Yun Lingwei. Yun Lingwei turned to Yun Huingxin. With a smirk, she replied, Do I have to tell you, flatty 3rd? She then glanced at Yun Huingxin's chest area and her smirk grew wider. Are you looking for death, fatty 4th? Yun Huingxin's face darkened. A terrifying light flashed across her limpid eyes. Enough, you two. Seriously, why did both of you have to quarrel every time seeing each other? Yun Ruinyu reprimanded, causing Yun Huingxin and Yun Lingwei to shut their mouths. Of course, they didn't stop chewing pastries. On the other hand, Yun Qingru smiled without care as she was accustomed to both of them already. She looked at Yun Meilan and said, Now please tell us the news, Sister Meilan. Everyone turned to Yun Meilan as the latter replied, Qi Kaixing is currently in seclusion. The rumor said he is about to make another breakthrough. When Yun Meilan's voice fell, the expressions of everyone in the chamber immediately turned heavy. Originally, they thought they could put up a resistance when facing Qi Kaixing, but now it seemed to be an impossible task. If Qi Kaixing managed to break through into the middle level of the ruler profound realm, the entire sect would become a lamb waiting for him to slaughter. Yun Meilan continued, Jai Muchen and his son appeared in the capital city yesterday. He went to propose marriage to the 2nd princess. Qi, he wants to climb Qi clan? Yun Lingwei snorted disdainfully. Among the hall masters, she had a deep grudge with Jai Muchen, the sect master of the profound sword sect. In the past, Jai Muchen killed her closest junior sister during the mythical realm exploration. She vowed to take revenge, but her strength was slightly inferior to him. She couldn't achieve her goal until now. Linshan has formed a connection with Yang Gaoming's children. They owed him a big favor. Yun Meilan said further. Everyone was surprised upon hearing this. They were curious how did Yun Linshan manage to do that. Seeing everyone looked at her eagerly, Yun Meilan explained, in order to get heavenly yin iron from Yang clan, Linshan set up a treatment stall in their territory. Coincidentally, Yang Chen, Yang Gaoming's son, was defeated by Luo Kun from the Luo clan and his profound vein was destroyed. His older sister, Yang Mingli, came to Yun Linshan and asked him to help Yang Chen. In the end, Linshan successfully restored his profound vein. What? All the 4 hall masters exclaimed loudly in unison. You said Linshan could restore a damaged profound vein, Yun Qingru asked in a trembling voice. She could be considered as Yun Linshan's mentor on the medical profound art. Of course, she understood what it meant to be able to repair a damaged profound vein. She studied the remnant record of life since she was young, but she couldn't comprehend the repair method until now. Yun Meilan nodded her head in reply. She was astonished as well when she first witnessed the miraculous operation that occurred in front of her. Yun Linshan could easily accomplish something that could only be heard in a legend. If it wasn't because she had experienced it by herself, she would never believe it as well. Yun Qingru took a deep breath and said, I am well aware Linshan has an unusual strong soul power that rivaled to the origin profound realm's practitioner, despite he has profound strength at the essence profound realm. His comprehension is also the best among his peers, however. I never thought he could actually practice the remnant record of life that was left behind by our founder to this extent. What on earth is him? the remnant record of life, was the unknown grade medical profound art that was left behind by the Misty Cloud sect's founder. The reason it had remnant in its name was that it was an incomplete profound art. It had only 1/3 of its original scripture. This remnant profound art was divided into 3 levels, and the most dazzling medical genius in the sect's history could achieve the 2nd level only. Now, a 16-year-old youth managed to comprehend the 3rd level. How could they still stay calm upon knowing this? Not only that, I bet he has already learned everything on the remnant myriad formation scripture as well. You know that I can't set up the heaven-suppressing formation, but he can, Yun Lingwei said solemnly. She had already stopped eating at this moment. Everyone nodded their head in agreement. They watched Yun Linchen growing up since he was an infant. He was already sensible before he reached 1 year old. His thought process and learning progress had surpassed his peers, leaving them in the dust. Now he had once again shocked them to the core. During this trip, Linchen already realized we are hiding information from him. He found out that his common sense differed from others. I don't want to hide it from him further, so I told him everything, said Yun Meilan. We should take the blame on this point. We shouldn't hide everything from him in the first place, Yun Huangxin said softly. Her words caused everyone to look at each other with a wry smile on their faces. It wasn't because they wanted to do this, but Yun Kaingsu forcibly prohibited them from telling him. Has anyone remembered that day when that senior appeared here? Yun Ruinyu suddenly asked. She looked at everyone briefly, then continued. I really want to know what is his origin exactly. Other masters glanced at each other as they also had the same question in their minds. Mom, can you tell me now, what is the origin of this ring? Yun Linchen asked while fiddling the golden interspatial ring between his fingers. He was curious. Where did Yun Kaingsu get this ring from? And why did she say it belonged to him in the first place? Yun Kaingsu fell into silence for a moment. She stared at him and said, I guess it's time to tell you everything. She closed her eyes, trying to recollect herself. The memory of that day resurfaced in her mind vividly, as if it happened yesterday. 16 years ago, our sect suddenly had a mysterious visitor. Although I never encountered a monarch profound realms warrior before, I believed this person's strength should be countless times stronger than that. There was a white mist around that person, blocking our sights. I wasn't able to see her clearly until she spoke. Did we realize she was a woman? She didn't come alone. She brought an infant along with her. Yun Kaingsu looked at Yun Linchen and said, That infant is you. Yun Linchen was startled. He never thought there was someone with insanely high profound strength, brought him to the Misty Cloud sect, beyond monarch profound realm. What kind of power is that? Don't tell me. I have encountered this kind of abandoned young master from the higher realm plot. That's not right. How could this necklace appear here with me? His mind spun rapidly, trying to figure out the secret behind his transmigration. Seeing Yun Linchen touch the silver necklace around his neck, Yun Kaingsu said, That senior handed you to me, told me your name, and instructed me to keep you safe. She suggested that I should adopt you as my foster son. I don't know why, but I think she wanted you to live without any sufferance because I could feel a hint of affection and concern in her voice. As for that necklace on your neck, she also told me that I should never take it off. Except for me, Meilan, and the 4 hall masters, no one aware of its existence. Before she departed, she gave me that ring and told me to give it to you when you reached 16, throughout the conversation between me and her. She revealed nothing much, but I have a hunch she should be someone related to our sect because I could perceive a familiar trace of the Misty Cloud profound art. Yun Linchen listened to her calmly while his head was full of questions. According to Yun Kaingsu's statement, the mysterious woman brought him here and tried to ensure his safety by telling Yun Kaingsu to accept him as her foster son. However, the mysterious woman possessed such a powerful strength. Why would she leave him here instead of keeping him by her side? Was she running away from a powerful enemy? He remembered back then when he opened his eyes for the first time, he already found himself being taken care of by Yun Kaingsu. Except for the memory prior to his death in his previous life, he had no other recollections. Where were his parents of this life, and who was that mysterious woman? Was she his mother? With the strength that surpassed monarch profound realm, undoubtedly she shouldn't belong to this world. Mom, is there any record related to other worlds here, such as someone has broken through the void, ascending to other places? Yun Linchen asked. Yun Kaingsu frowned as she replied, In every generation, we will pass down the sect's history record to the next sect master. There is a tiny record related to our sect's founder. It was said one day. She mysteriously disappeared from the sect, and our ancestors back then had speculated she was probably ascended to a higher place. I also think it is highly possible because the second-generation sect master had described the founder's profound strength as unparalleled in the world. Unparalleled in the world? Yun Linchen repeated in surprise. What kind of profound strength she has to be described like this? Yun Kaingsu smiled. Incredible, right? Seeing Yun Linshan subconsciously nodded his head in reply, she said further, "Actually, it's not a surprise at all. Back then, our sect was a top existence in the northern continent. We had plenty of monarchs and saints in our sect. However, I don't know what exactly happened. Our sect began to decline around 4,000 years ago, exactly after the founder had disappeared. There was no record during this span of 100 years. It was as if someone deliberately hiding all the information related to that era. Furthermore, our sect never looking at the disciples' talent, and we also never openly recruited disciples like other sects. Hence, we could not keep up the talents as time passing by. From several monarchs slowly reduced to a handful of saints, down all the way until the current several heaven profound realms disciples. A sad expression appeared on her face when she talked to this point. Yun Linshan understood this point. The Misty Cloud sect always recruited orphans randomly, without taking their potential into a consideration. Meanwhile, other sects were screening candidates' talent first before picking up a top talented one into their sects. This was the gap between them and was the reason behind the Misty Cloud sect's decline. "Mom, can you give me all the information related to the outside world now? I know you have deliberately hidden many things from me," Yun Linshan asked earnestly. A trace of guilt appeared in the depth of Yun Kaingsu's eyes. She let out a soft sigh. "It's not that I want to blind your eyes and cover your ears." Before she could finish her explanation, Yun Linshan interrupted. "You don't have to feel sorry for me, Mom. I understand you have goodwill. I never blamed you for this. In truth, it was my fault too. I had no ambition since I was young. I don't care about the outside world, that's why I never looked for it. However, it is different now. Since the day I discovered our sect was under the threat, I realized I needed to change. My current ambition is to ensure that our sect could survive and free from any danger from now on." Since the first day that Yun Linshan came to this world, he always living in his comfort zone. The only thing he had in his mind was to live comfortably and survive along with the Misty Cloud sect. However, his current thoughts were completely changed. After he realizing the severe situation the sect was in, a flame of ambition that was buried within his body for decades abruptly ignited, giving birth to a thirst for power. Now he wanted to change the Misty Cloud sect into the sole dominating fraction who's standing above all. Yun Kaingsu was moved. She reached out to firmly hold Yun Linshan's hand and said emotionally, "Thank you for understanding me. I thought you would blame me for this." Yun Linshan shook his head with a smile. He asked, "Can you tell me now, why would those sects want to attack us? I don't think they are purely coveting our beautiful disciples, right?" At first, he always believed the Sacred Flame sect was purely coveting the beauties in the Misty Cloud sect, since their primary profound art was related to fire element, by copulating with a woman who practicing in water element-related profound art. Their profound strength would increase by leaps and bounds, and the elemental balance in their body would become more stable too. Yun Linshan suddenly realized his thoughts were too naive after listening to Yun Kaingsu earlier. The Misty Cloud sect had a long inheritance and was once a hegemony among various forces in the northern continent. Theoretically, the sect should have a trump card in possession, since the sect could survive until now despite the overall strength of the sect was on the decline. The Sacred Flame sect shouldn't be stupid enough to challenge the Misty Cloud sect just for women. Unless they also had something that allowed them to ignore the Misty Cloud sect's hidden card. Yun Kaingsu was silent for a while. She stood up and said to Yun Linshan, "Follow me." Yun Linshan calmly followed her to the main hall that had the ice throne at the center. Standing before the ice throne, a deep blue light glowed between Yun Kaingsu's eyebrows and gradually formed into an exquisite droplet of water shape. Instantaneously, the ice throne trembled, a hazy ice mist constantly emanating from it. In the next moment, the throne moved backward, revealing an entrance to a hidden underground passage. Yun Linshan was amazed by this simple yet enigmatic scene in front of him. He never thought there would be a secret entrance beneath the ice throne before. With a signal from Yun Kaingsu, Yun Linshan immediately followed her into the passage. The passage was quite narrow and could only contain one person at a time. On both sides was a shiny crystal ice wall, constantly producing a bluish luminescence. Yun Kaingsu and Yun Linshan slowly walked along a long tapering ice staircase until they reached an open area that full of ice mist. There were several ice lanterns on the wall, illuminating the entire space. At the center, Yun Linshan found a small ice altar covering with a golden light, making him unable to see it clearly. The droplet pattern on Yun Kaingsu's glabella shone brightly as the surrounding mist quickly dispersed. She took a step forward to the front of the ice altar. When she stretched her slender hands out, the golden light around the altar immediately scattered, and a crown silhouette could be seen on the top of the altar. The crown's body was half black and half white in color, circular in shape with 8 tassels. Each tassel was adorned with thumb-sized marquise jewels in different colors: red, blue, yellow, green, dark green, gold, purple, and gray, respectively. When Yun Linshan's gaze landed on it, the silver necklace around his neck suddenly vibrated for a second before it stopped. "What's going on?" Yun Linshan subconsciously touched the necklace in puzzlement. He was sure it wasn't a hallucination. His eyes kept looking between the crown and the necklace while his brains working intensively. Yun Kaingsu touched the crown as she explained, "This is our sex inheritance that passing down from the founder. We call it the crown." She turned back to Yun Linshan and said further, "The reason why they don't hesitate to make an enemy with us is because of this. 1,000 years ago, the sacred flame sex ancestor found an ancient record related to this crown. Since then, they're trying their best to plunder it from us. Naturally, they won't dare to act impetuously until our grand sect master has passed away 20 years ago." Yun Linshan was busy trying to figure out what happened earlier. At the same time, he still listened to Yun Kaingsu. He understood everything clearly. Even though he didn't know how precious the crown was, with the departure of the previous grand sect master, the Misty Cloud sect had lost the one and only ruler Profound Realms Overseer, allowing the Sacred Flame sect to launch their operation fearlessly. The reason why they had to wait for decades was probably trying to guarantee a consequence. Yun Linshan hesitated briefly before he asked, "Mom, can I touch it?" Yun Kaingsu was confused slightly. She nodded her head, granting him permission. Yun Linshan moved forward to the altar. He took a deep breath and touched the crown. As soon as his fingers touched it, a twisted black and white light promptly burst out, causing Yun Linshan and Yun Kaingsu to freeze on the spot. The light lasted for 5 seconds before it vanished completely. During this period, Yun Linshan could perceive a faint connection between him, the silver necklace, and the crown. However, he was unable to comprehend the situation in the end. Yun Kaingsu was momentarily shocked upon seeing Yun Linshan producing the black and white light. What happened?" she uttered in astonishment. As a sect master, she never heard anyone in the sect's history could resonate with the crown before, not even the sect's founder. How could Yun Linshan do it? Yun Linshan didn't reply immediately. He closed his eyes, recollecting the feeling that occurred earlier. He had a hunch that the crown might belong to him all along, and this should be the mysterious woman's intention of leaving him in this place. She should be aware of it. There was something related to him hidden within the sect. What was the relationship between him, her, the sect, and these two mysterious objects? "I'm not sure what was going on earlier. I can feel a faint connection between me and this crown." Yun Linshan responded uncertainly. Yun Kaingsu had a deep look. She suggested, "Why don't you try to drop your blood on it?" Yun Linshan's eyes lit up as he quickly wounded his finger and dripped his blood on the crown. However, there was no feedback in the end after waiting for 10 minutes. Yun Kaingsu was puzzled. "Strange, what's going on exactly?" Yun Linshan was disappointed. He asked, "Is there any information about this crown?" Yun Kaingsu shook her head. "No, the only information we have is this crown exists shortly before the disappearance of the sect's founder. The founder has entrusted the second generation's sect master to keep it safe no matter what. Generation after generation, we have tried to unravel the secret within the crown, but no one could produce any result in the end." Yun Linshan fell into deep thought for a while before he let out a helpless sigh. "I have no clue as well. That feeling's never appeared again. It's gone completely." Yun Kaingsu stared at the crown for a long time. She said, "Let's go back." Yun Linshan hummed softly in reply and left the place with Yun Kaingsu. The room returned to its original calm and silent once again. The hazy mist slowly covered the entire place, appearing as if no one had visited this place before. However, half an hour later after Yun Linshan and Yun Kaingsu departed from this place, a black and white light suddenly burst out from the crown once again. This time it was more vigorous than before as it painted the entire space into the half-black and half-white world. The jewel on each tassel instantly shone brightly, turning into multicolored light pillars amidst the black and white radiance. This phenomenon lasted for several minutes before it entirely disappeared as if nothing happened before. While Yun Linshan and Yun Kaingsu encountered the bizarre event, the Yang Manor was also undergoing a major event. After Yun Mingli went back to the manor, she went straight to Yang Gaoming's chamber directly. "My dear niece, why are you here at this late?" said a middle-aged man in luxury blue robes, standing in front of Yang Gaoming's room. Yang Mingli smiled faintly. "I'm here to see my father. I haven't seen him for a while now." "What about you, third uncle? Why are you here?" The middle-aged man was Yang Mingli's third uncle, Yang Gaomo. He gave a light chuckle as he spread his arms. "Why else? I'm here to check on Big Brother in case his condition has improved. As you know, our current situation is not that good. We need to find a way to treat him as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'm afraid, we will have to appoint a new patriarch." "Right, I heard there is a genius doctor appearing on the market street." Have you invited him yet? Yang Mingli politely responded. I talked to him before, but he said he couldn't deal with it. I'm going to see father now. Let's talk another day, third uncle. All right, go ahead. Yang Gaomu stepped to the side, allowing Yang Mingli to enter the room. He stared deeply at Yang Mingli's, disappearing back for a while before he turned around and left. In the room, there was nothing else besides a simple wooden table and a high-quality bed at the center of the room. On the bed laid a middle-aged man motionless. His complexion was pale. His messy hair turned completely white, making him appear as if he was in his 80s despite he was in his 60s this year. He was the current patriarch of the Yang clan, Yang Gaoming. Father, I'm here to see you. Yang Mingli moved closer to the bedside and whispered softly, her heart filled with sorrow when she saw her father's current appearance. She knelt beside the bed and carefully took out the jade bottle given by Yun Linshan. She said, Father, I have met a good senior yesterday. He is a miraculous doctor. Not only he helped me in Chenner, but he also gave me this pill to save you. I'll give it to you now. She then took a pellet of the soul return pill out of the jade bottle and fed Yang Gaoming with it. Yang Mingli released her profound energy to help Yang Gaoming digested the pill. Shortly afterward, Yang Gaoming's body trembled slightly, his eyelids moving as if he was about to wake up at any time. Yang Mingli was overjoyed when she discovered this. Its work, her heart filled with boundless gratitude toward Yun Linshan. Yang Gaoming groaned weakly as he slowly opened his eyes. Father, Yang Mingli cried out joyfully. Yang Gaoming tilted his head slightly and said gently, You've worked hard, Lear. Father owed you. Although he was in a coma, he had witnessed everything that happened around him all this time. Yang Mingli shook her head while wiping tears out of the corner of her eyes. It's not me, Father. We have to thank Senior. Oh, right, Father. I think we need to hide this matter first. I don't have a way to deal with the culprit right now. Yang Gaoming was completely sobered. His cloudy eyes became clearer, regaining their former luster. A flame of fury ignited within his heart when he was thinking of the culprit. He said solemnly, We don't need to do that. I can deal with him now. A strong aura emanating from his body. It was a sign showing a dignified patriarch had returned. Yang Mingli took a deep breath, her eyes turned cold. Now, as her father had returned, it was the right time to pay back this grudge. You said earlier you met a miraculous doctor and he gave this pill to you? Asked Yang Gaoming after he was calming down. An admiring expression appeared on Yang Mingli's face. She replied, Yes, Father, I am lucky to meet him. He is a nobleman, a true doctor. Before that, he set up a stall to treat everyone for free, and he even gave money to the poor. When he discovered I have poison in my body, he didn't hesitate to help me at all. As for the pill, I exchanged heavenly yin iron with him. She didn't tell her father that Yun Linshan had approached her because of heavenly yin iron. Perhaps she didn't notice that she was getting more excited while she was talking further. Seeing his daughter, who usually remained cold and indifferent, become like this, Yang Gaoming smiled. When we finish dealing with the culprit, we should invite him here. I want to personally thank him for saving us. Yang Mingli suddenly turned sad. She said softly, It's not working, Father. Senior has already left the city. Oh, what a pity we owed him. Yang Gaoming sighed regretfully. I forgot about it. Fathers, you need to take 2 more pellets every 1 hour before you can completely eradicate the poison. Yang Mingli hurriedly said and handed the jade bottle to her father. The Sacred Flame sect was situated in the southern part of the Heavenly Fortune Nation. The sect was built on 100 kilometers of an extensive mountain range, abundant with the fire element. The sect had around 10,000 disciples. The majority of them were male, and all of them possessed profound vein with a high affinity to fire element. Similar to the Misty Cloud sect, the Sacred Flame sect's echelons comprising Sect Master, Supreme Elder, 8 Grand Elders, and 20 Elders, most of them had profound strength at the Heaven Profound Realm. As for disciples, they were classified into a core disciple, inner disciple, and outer disciple. Every 3 years, the sect would recruit new disciples, and today was supposed to be the assessment day. However, for an unknown reason, the sect had announced the cancellation of the assessment, causing many young, profound practitioners around the nation to be disappointed. At the highest peak among several mountain peaks, a 30-year-old-looking man calmly walking into a majestic hall. His sharp eyes were calm, without a trace of urgency. The words "Sacred Flame" was shown on his long crimson robe. They were fluttering vividly as if the words had come to life. He was the current sect master of the Sacred Flame sect, Huo Han. Ancestor, Huo Han saluted respectfully to a silhouette behind a fire curtain within the hall. The fire curtain slowly faded away, revealing a skinny old man who sat on a large piece of fire jade. His skins were red with strange patterns engraved all over his body, including his bald head. He was Huo Yan, the previous generation's sect master of the Sacred Flame sect. His sunken eyes opened as he looked at Huo Han. How's the preparation? Asked Hugh Yan. His aged voice was deep and hoarse. Evidently, he had lived for a very long time. We are ready to start any time. Hugh Han replied. A trace of excitement could be seen in his eyes. Hugh Yan silent for a moment as he pondered on something. He asked, what's the situation over there? There is no major change within the Misty Cloud sect. It seems they didn't aware of it. Hugh Han answered in relaxed manner. During these past years, he had secretly deployed several fire spirit snakes around the Misty Cloud Peak's vicinity to monitor their movement. Except for the accident a while ago when one of his snakes was discovered by the Misty Cloud sect's disciples, there was no major activity happened in that sect afterward. A thoughtful expression appeared on Hugh Yan's face. He gazed at Hugh Han as he asked, among them, who left the most impression on you? Hugh Han was confused. He didn't understand why Hugh Yan suddenly asked him this question. He replied after a brief consideration, it's Yun Meilan. Her concealment art is terrifying. I have suffered a loss from her once in the past. Hugh Yan shook his head with a trace of disappointment on his face. No matter how high her concealment art is, she will eventually appear when she launched an attack. You only need to be on guard against her. He paused for a moment to observe Hugh Han's expression before he continued. The scariest person among them is the first hall master, Yun Ruinyu. She was the mastermind behind our third ancestor's demise. Her ability to calculate is exceedingly terrifying. However, since that old hag is already dead, they don't have any backer anymore. No matter what plan Yun Ruinyu comes up with, it will be nothing in front of overwhelming strength. Hugh Han's brows raised in surprise. For him, Yun Ruinyu was indeed the most mysterious person, as she rarely showed up in public. This was the first time he came to know she was the cause of the third ancestor's death. Hugh Yan said further, she is one of the reasons I am willing to wait until that old hag died. With a combination of her and that old hag, there is no way we could do anything to them, even with Qi Kaingsing's help. This time, we paid a huge price to lure Qi Kaingsing into the plan. We must not fail. Hugh Han nodded his head in an understanding manner. In his heart, he didn't think the Misty Cloud sect could put up any resistance when facing the Sacred Flame sect, Profound Sword sect, and Qi Kaingsing at the same time. If it wasn't because Hugh Yan strictly restrained him, he would have long attacked the Misty Cloud sect since a decade ago. Hugh Han hesitated shortly before he asked cautiously, Ancestor, can you tell me what exactly is that relic? He wanted to ask this question a long time ago. He didn't understand why Hugh Yan was so obsessed with the so-called relic within the Misty Cloud sect. A blazing flame suddenly appeared around Hugh Yan's body as he replied with a trace of anger in his voice. This is not something you need to know. You helped me do the job and you can get a reward that you wanted the most. Isn't this enough reason for you? Hugh Han quickly knelt down on the floor while sweating profusely. Please calm down, Ancestor. Hugh Yan stared at Hugh Han for a while and he waved his hand dismissively. Go, after the blazing sun mythical realm opened, we will start our plan. Hugh Han let out a sigh of relief. He gave a deep bow to Hugh Yan and quickly left the hall. When he stepped out of the hall, a wretched smile emerged on his lips. Yun Kaingsu hihi, you will be mine soon. In the northern part of the Heavenly Fortune capital city laid a majestic palace made of expensive white jades, the Heavenly Fortune Imperial Palace. This place was the primary residence of the Qi royal clan. It occupied several acres and there were over 1,000 lives resided in. At this moment, there were 4 persons sitting around a luxury 20 meters long ancient woods table in a spacious reception hall. Congratulations, Your Majesty, for breaking through in profound strength, an early 30s-looking man in a white robe said. He had a handsome face, sword-like eyebrows, and a pair of sharp eyes that constantly emitting a lethal aura. He was the current sect master of the Profound Sword sect, Jai Muchen. Besides him was a teenager with 90% resembled him. Without a doubt, he was Jai Muchen's eldest son, Jai Cheng. He was a young prodigy, proficient in sword arts, and his strength had already reached the 10th level of Essence Profound Realm. Thank you, Sect Master Jai, said a dignified man in a golden embroidered robe who sat opposite Jai Muchen. His face was cold, his thick black eyebrows were like 2 inclined sharp swords, and his gaze was as calm as a pool of still water without any waves of motion. He was the current ruler of Heaven Fortune Nation, Qi Kaingsing. Sitting on his side was a 15-year-old-looking young maiden, the second princess, Qi Tian'er. Qi Kaingsing glanced at his daughter and said, I heard that Sect Master Jai came here to propose marriage to my daughter for your son. Am I correct? Jai Muchen replied calmly. Yes, Your Majesty. My son is 16 this year, and I think it is the right time for him to get married. I don't know what does Your Majesty thinks of my untalented son. He didn't talk about the second princess directly. Instead, he asked Qi Kaingsing about his son. It could be seen he was quite a prideful person. Chi Kaixing laughed and looked at Jai Cheng. Your son is not bad. To be able to reach this level at 16, he can be considered as a top talent in his generation. He turned to Chi Tian'er and asked with a warm smile, what do you think, Tian'er? Chi Tian'er's beautiful eyes stared at Jai Cheng since the first time they met without looking elsewhere. When she heard her father's question, her face immediately turned red in shame as she quickly lowered her head and answered shyly, he is good, royal father. Chi Kaixing and Jai Muchen looked at each other and burst into laughter at the same time. Meanwhile, Jai Cheng looking at Chi Tian'er's delicate face and nodded inwardly in satisfaction. In terms of appearance and status, Chi Tian'er was good enough to be his wife, since my Tian'er has no objection. I naturally approve of this marriage. We shall settle the wedding ceremony later after the Blazing Sun Mythical Realms exploration, Chi Kaixing said with a faint smile. To him, giving his daughter away for benefits was common. He didn't feel reluctant at all and even quickly approved of this marriage directly without further consideration. Thank you, Your Majesty. Jai Muchen stood up and bowed his head slightly. He was overjoyed inwardly as he didn't expect Chi Kaixing would easily accept the marriage proposal like this. Thank you, Your Majesty. I swear I will take care of second princess for the rest of my life and I will never let her down. Jai Cheng saluted and vowed solemnly. Chi Tian'er took a deep look at her soon-to-be husband's handsome face, her heart beating rapidly. As a royal princess, she was well aware one day she had to marry out for the sake of benefits. To be able to choose a companion by herself was already a substantial fortune. She was extremely satisfied with Jai Cheng. Whether it was his talent or appearance, all of them were top-notch. All right, Tian'er, you should bring your brother Jai to get to know our imperial palace, Chi Kaixing told Chi Tian'er. The latter gave a reply and quickly left the hall with Jai Cheng. The atmosphere turned serious after the two youngsters had left. Jai Muchen enjoyed a cup of spirit tea for a while before he asked, I presumed Your Majesty has accepted Sect Master Huo's terms already. May I know about your opinion on this matter? Chi Kaixing replied nonchalantly, I have nothing much to say on this matter, however. A long-standing sect like the Misty Cloud sect is not easy to mess with. I don't think Sect Master Huo simply wants to get a woman as it appeared on the surface, honestly speaking. If it wasn't because I urgently needed a large portion of fire spirit stones for my son, I certainly won't take part in this. Huo Han's obsession with Yun Kaixu was known throughout the entire nation. Every time they met, he would try his best to court her. Unfortunately, Yun Kaixu never paid attention to him even once, and she even beat him several times in the past. No matter how much Huo Han infatuated with her, Chi Kaixing didn't believe he would take a risk by confronting the Misty Cloud sect for the sake of getting Yun Kaixu. Jai Muchen nodded his head in agreement. He responded, You are right, Your Majesty. I think Sect Master Huo is hiding something from us. I'm afraid he is trying to use us as a cannon fodder. Although Jai Muchen understood Huo Han sent out a lot of fire spirit stones to Chi Kaixing in order to obtain his support, he wasn't sure to what extent Chi Kaixing was going to help them. Chi Kaixing sneered, using me? Heh, he won't dare. Even his ancestor has to bow his head when he saw me. A junior like Huo Han is even more afraid of me. He paused briefly and said further, as for what exactly he is hiding from us. I can't figure out for the time being. Jai Muchen frowned deeply. Besides proposing marriage, he came here to find out the secret behind Huo Han's seemingly reckless action from Chi Kaixing. He didn't expect that even Chi Kaixing had no clue about it. It doesn't matter, he can't do anything behind my back anyway. Chi Kaixing spoke. His voice was filled with arrogance and boundless confidence. Jai Muchen's brows relaxed a lot as he said, Your Majesty is right. The two glanced at each other meaningfully and burst into loud laughter, reverberating throughout the spacious hall. At an open training ground within the Misty Cloud sect, Yun Linshan stood motionless on a snowfield. On his hands was a wooden bow as he aimed at a human-shaped wooden target hundreds of meters away. His entire being seemingly blended into the surrounding environment, as if it wasn't him who stood there, but a lifeless boulder instead. Puff, the moment Yun Linshan released the arrow, it went straight to the target's head silently at terrifying high speed. Moreover, there wasn't even a trace of profound energy coming out of his body. At the distance, not too far away from Yun Linshan, Yun Kaixu and Yun Meilan stood together, observing him attentively. I think he is more qualified to be an assassin than you, Yun Kaixu said softly. Pride and amazement could be seen in her beautiful eyes. Yun Meilan expressed her agreement, indeed. Somehow, I feel he is thoroughly familiar with this kind of assassination technique, as if he has practiced for decades. She watched Yun Linshan growing up for several years and discovered he was exceptionally proficient in assassination technique, even more outstanding than his medical talent. The only thing that hindered him was his low, profound strength. If his strength was the same as his peers, he could effortlessly kill anyone at will. Mom, Aunt Meilan. Yun Linshan walked over and greeted politely. Yun Kaingsu pulled his arm and said, "Let's take a break. Mom has something to tell you." Yun Linshan hummed in reply. All of them immediately headed to Yun Kaingsu's chamber. A month had passed since Yun Linshan came back from the capital city's trip. During this period, he concentrated all his time to set up the heaven-suppressing formation, as well as training intensively under Yun Kaingsu and Yun Meilan's guidance. A week ago, he made another breakthrough and finally stepped into the 5th level of Essence Profound Realm. This speed could be described as terrifying, as he had broken through 2 levels in a span of 1 month. All of this was due to several low-grade profound stones that Yun Kaingsu piled up for him. In Azure World, there was a stone that contained a small amount of profound energy, known as Profound Stone. It divided into 4 grades: low, middle, high, and perfect grade, classified by the amount of profound energy within it. Normally, Profound Stone was used to maintain a profound formation, serving as the energy source, and it could be used directly by a profound practitioner to aid their profound strength. Counting on how scarce the Profound Stone was, using it to practice was too luxurious and wasteful. Especially in a small nation as Heavenly Fortune Nation, Profound Stone couldn't be earned by ordinary means. Even the richest clan in the nation, the Yang clan, had no more than 1,000 low-grade Profound Stones in their possession. One could obviously see how much Yun Kaingsu pampered her foster son. In order to raise his strength in a short time, she didn't hesitate to give him several tens of Profound Stones at all. The group arrived at the ice chamber and found all the 4 hall masters had already waited for them along with 12 elders. "You are here," Yun Runyu greeted. After sitting on the main chair, Yun Kaingsu asked, "How's the preparation?" Yun Runyu glanced at Yun Linshan and replied, "We are ready to set off any time. With Sister Huangxin's ability, we can reach there in 2 days." Yun Kaingsu turned to Yun Linshan and explained, "The Blazing Sun mythical realm is about to open next week. If you're ready, you can set off tomorrow." "Understood," Yun Linshan replied. During this past month, his understanding of the Azure World was deepened significantly. Azure World simply divided into 5 continents: Northern, Eastern, Western, Southern, and Central Continent. The distance between each continent was humongous and was split by a boundless sea. In order to reach other continents, people could either cross the sea by ship or going through the Continent Transmission Grand Formation that was controlled by a hegemonic fraction of each continent. In this world, there were several independent realms, which commonly known as mythical realms, locating all around the places throughout the entire world. Each one of them had a distinct name, a different environment, and various limitations. In there, people could find countless treasures and inheritances that were left behind by mighty figures in the past. The Blazing Sun mythical realm was also one of many mythical realms out there. This realm situated between Heavenly Fortune Capital City and Sacred Flame Sect. It was under the nation's control. Every 50 years, all major forces within Heavenly Fortune Nation would send their disciples out to explore it, limited for the Essence Profound Realms practitioner, and below only. "Tell me, what is your plan?" Yun Kaingsu asked. "It's simple. When we came out of the mythical realm, Third Ant will immediately send everyone away. Following that, we will take a secret transmission point to come back. To my knowledge, I don't think they can restrain Third Ant's spatial technique. Even if they did, we should be able to use escape talismans to get out of that place. In any way, I've already inscribed fixed coordination on the talismans. Everyone will certainly appear around the rendezvous point." Yun Linshan expressed his thoughts. After he understood the general situation around the Heavenly Fortune Nation, he quickly suggested giving up on exploring the Blazing Sun mythical realm, as he deemed it served no meaning, and it was an unnecessary risk-taking. His original plan was to attract the enemy's attention. However, with Qi royal clan joining the fray, going to the mythical realm was akin to sending food to a tiger's mouth directly. Nevertheless, Yun Runyu insisted to follow Yun Linshan's original plan. Although Yun Linshan didn't understand her intention and thought this plan was full of flaws, he still complied in the end. In fact, deep down in his heart, he was eager to visit the mythical realm. After all, this was going to be his very first adventure. "You can follow this plan," Yun Kaingsu approved. Somehow she appeared as if she didn't think this trip would be dangerous at all. "Can you give me the detail of the Blazing Sun mythical realm?" Yun Linshan inquired. Everyone except Yun Linshan looked at Yun Runyu as if they were saying, "It's your duty." Yun Runyu smiled faintly as she explained, "The Blazing Sun mythical realm divided into 2 regions. The perimeter is a lush forest with countless essence profound beasts inside. In this region, various middle-rank medicinal ingredients can be found. You should take this opportunity to harvest as much as you can. There are also several treasure caves in this region. You have to be careful if you want to go in because they're full of traps. The center region is a plain desert, extremely hot during the day and freezing cold during the night. Usually, only a few brave people would dare to enter this place. Here is the point. In the past, all of us had ventured to the centermost area and found a large sun-like object floating on top of an ancient altar. We suspected this object should be a supreme treasure. We tried every possible means to acquire it, but it was futile. So the reason you wanted me to go is to get this object. How am I supposed to do it when everyone in this place can't do it, Aunt Ruinyu? Asked Yun Linshan. Yun Linshan seemed to understand Yun Ruinyu's intention, but he didn't have confidence in this matter. Any individuals in this chamber all possessed powerful strength and top talents when they were young. Compared to the current Yun Linshan, it was a world apart. How could he suppose to secure that object with his pitiful strength? Yun Ruinyu didn't deny it. She replied, "It's fine if you can't get it in the end. It's worth trying after all. Besides, this will be a good experience for you. It can be considered your first official journey outside going to the village and city." Listening to this point, Yun Linshan no longer questioned further. He believed in Yun Ruinyu's intelligence and her meticulous thinking. She should have a suitable countermeasure for the incoming calamity already, which Yun Linshan did not necessarily need to know about it. All he could do right now was focusing on the mythical realm's exploration. As for the other 9 disciples who are going to accompany you on this trip, I already told them everything. You don't have to worry, Yun Ruinyu said further. I understand, Aunt Ruinyu, Yun Linshan responded. Originally, he intended to choose a squad member by himself, but things had changed. This decision ended up in Yun Ruinyu's hand instead. You should go back. I'll find you later tonight. Seeing Yun Ruinyu seemed to have something to say, but it was inconvenient. Yun Kaingsu let Yun Linshan leave first. Yun Linshan was aware of this as well. They might have something to discuss and didn't want him to know. All right, I'll take my leave now, he said and walked out of the chamber. After Yun Linshan leaving, Yun Ruinyu looked at everyone and said, "The current situation is not favorable for us. Although I am certain that Qi Kaixing won't invest much of his force into this war, we can't forget the sacred flame sect's ancestor, Hu Yan." Yun Kaixu turned to Yun Malin and asked, "Do we have his current information?" Yun Malin shook her head. "He secluded himself from the world for many years and never showed up even once. I can't find his current status." Yun Ruinyu added, "It is possible he might break through to the 4th level of ruler profound realm already. Otherwise, Qi Kaixing wouldn't accept their terms easily like this." Everyone nodded their head in agreement. It would make sense if Qi Kaixing willing to negotiate with them and decided to cooperate because there was an individual whose profound strength similar or higher than him. Unfortunately, everyone in this chamber had fatally misunderstood it. They would never guess the truth behind Qi Kaixing's decision. It was so simple. He accepted Sacred Flame Sect's terms because he was urgently needed the fire spirit stones they had offered. He never put Hu Yan in his eyes since the beginning. However, this is going to be our opportunity as well, Yun Ruinyu said calmly with a strange light flashed across her eyes. Her words immediately piqued everyone's attention. They were accustomed to having Yun Ruinyu acted as a strategist. Since she suddenly said this sentence, she should have a master plan in her mind already. "Sister Lingwei, how long do you need to breach their sect's protective formation?" Yun Ruinyu asked while her full of wisdom eyes staring at Yun Lingwei. "You mean?" Yun Lingwei responded uncertainly. She wasn't sure if her idea was the same as Yun Ruinyu's. When she saw Yun Ruinyu nodded her head slightly, confirming Yun Lingwei's thoughts. Yun Lingwei, as well as others, instantly became excited. "We are about to reach the destination in 20 minutes, Yun Huangxin said. Her petite body sat in a coach position, controlling an ordinary carriage along the road. It had been almost 2 days since they left the sect, as they were currently on the way to the Blazing Sun mythical realm. Yun Linshan, who sat beside her, asked, "Third aunt, how long do we need to stay in there?" "I forgot to ask about this. 1 month. After 1 month you will be teleported out of the mythical realm," Yun Huangxin replied. Yun Linshan took a note and Yun Huangxin said further, "However, there was an unusual circumstance occurred last time. Someone trying to break through to the spirit profound realm within that place. Somehow the entire mythical realm shaken and expelled everyone out before the time limit." Yun Linshan frowned. "Is it the first time having this? There should be several people trying to do that in the past, right?" He didn't believe there were no people trying to breaking through in the mythical realm in the past. After all, the Blazing Sun mythical realm existed for thousands of years. Yun Huangxin explained, "Naturally, this is not the first time people attempt to make a breakthrough in that place, but this is the first time people got expelled before reaching the time limit. Your Aunt Ruinyu once trying to figure out what happened. However, she couldn't find anything in the end. As for my opinion, I think the mythical realm is probably starting to weaken. because I can feel the space element around the mythical realm gate has reduced a lot. So I think there may be unforeseen circumstances during this time too. You have to be careful in there. I understand, third aunt. Yun Linshan noted everything down in his mind. He felt a bit worried after listening to this. I won't be lost in the space when the mythical realm suddenly went kaboom, right? Damn, did I just put a flag on my head? He was slightly paranoid because this kind of event happened often in the novels. As for seizing that whatever supreme treasure, your third aunt doesn't want you to think about it much. Just pay attention to your safety first, Yun Huangxin said earnestly. She watched him growing up day by day since the first day he arrived at the sect. Unknowingly, she had grown too fond of him and treated him as her most important person. Yun Linshan could see a genuine concern within her beautiful eyes which made his heart warmed. Don't worry, third aunt, I love my life, I won't die easily, Yun Linshan answered in a relaxed tone. When it came to his own safety, he was confident he could protect himself well. Yun Linshan turned to look at a group of beautiful women within the carriage and said with a serious expression, Senior sisters, I know some of you probably never took anyone's life before. You only need to remember one thing, if you don't kill them, they will kill you and your fellow sisters. No matter what, never showed mercy to the enemy. The group of women expressed their understanding solemnly. It was true, some of them never killed anyone before. Since this was the first time they took part in this exploration where several forces gathered together, Yun Linshan didn't want to see any of them losing their life because they weren't ruthless enough. These 9 women were carefully selected by Yun Ruinyu. They had profound strength at the 9th level and 10th level of Essence Profound Realm, which could be regarded as the cream of the crop, considering their young age below 18. Although they possessed such a powerful strength compared to their peers, they were too inexperienced. Yun Linshan needed to make it clear and pointed out what they had to do. 2 hours had passed by. During this period, Yun Linshan had gone through an in-depth discussion with 9 senior sisters. From Yun Huangxin's words, the entrant would be sent randomly after entering the mythical realm. It had a high chance for them to encounter an enemy right away. Yun Linshan told them to run as fast as they could and tried to regroup with fellow sisters first before doing anything further. The carriage gradually arrived at a dense forest with a direct path to the opened area at the center. Yun Linshan looked around vigilantly as he perceived the group was being observed by someone. Yun Huangxin stopped the carriage and snorted coldly. Since all of you have come, why are you hiding like a rat? Ha ha ha, my apologies, Hall Master Yun. This old one just wants to tease your esteemed self a bit, said a tall figure emerged behind the tree's shade distant away. He had an appearance as an old man in his 80s, with a long white beard and gray hair. He wore white attires with a sword symbol on his chest. In his hand was a long, exquisite sword, and his entire body emanating a strong sword intent. Although he gave an apology, there wasn't a bit of guilty on his face. Oh, you are still alive, Yun Huangxin replied coldly. The man in front of her was Jai Yi, the Sword Profound Sect's Grand Elder. We haven't seen each other for several years. Hall Master Yun's mouth is still poisonous as ever. Do you want this old one to die badly? Jai Yi chuckled, appeared to be nonchalant. His eyes swept over Yun Linshan briefly as he wondered who was this young man. The Misty Cloud Sect's disciples were famous for remaining pure and distant themselves from the opposite gender. Why did this young man appear along with them? Are you still hiding, Hu Shan? Yun Huangxin ignored Jai Yi and spoke coldly in a certain direction. I never thought it would be you who came, Yun Huangxin. A male voice rang out and a thin silhouette slowly appeared in everyone's sight. His face was skinny as his cheekbones could be seen clearly, his sunken eyes staring at Yun Huangxin as if he wanted to eat her alive. He wore fiery red attire with the words Scared Flame on his chest. It was clear he was someone from the Scared Flame sect. However, I am curious, who is this young boy? I say if you need a man, why don't you ask me instead? I am sure I can make you feel better than this little white face, one, Hu Shan said with a wretched smile. He licked his lips lewdly while his eyes staring at Yun Huangxin's body. Yun Linshan was dumbfounded. Since when did he become a little white face? This brother was an alpha male, all right, HMPH. A good dog doesn't block the path. Get the hell out of this lady's face. Yun Huangxin snorted coldly. She ignored Hu Shan's taunt and urged the horses to go forward. Jai Yi and Hu Shan narrowed their eyes. Strong killing intents exuded out of their bodies as they were taking an offensive stance. The pressure from the Heaven Profound Realms warrior was too great. Yun Linshan and his 9 senior sisters immediately felt as if they were suppressed by a colossal mountain, causing them unable to breathe. Yun Huangxin's eyes turned cold. She waved her delicate hands slightly, and 2 spatial cracks appeared behind both Jai Yi and Hu Shan. 2 long sword silhouettes gleaming with powerful, profound energy hastily shot out from within the spatial cracks, aiming at their heads. The expressions of Jai Yi and Huo Shan changed tremendously. They quickly conjured up a protective, profound energy barrier around their bodies. However, Yun Huangxin's attack was too fast and extremely lethal. Their protective barriers couldn't even fully form in time and were shattered right away as the swords contacted them. Bang! The impact sending both Jai Yi and Huo Shan hundreds of meters away before they finally stabilized their body. Massive, profound energy wildly surged out from both of them as they were going to make a counterattack. Unfortunately, Yun Huangxin didn't give them a chance. Several spatial cracks appeared around them, and several energy swords immediately rushed out at Jai Yi and Huo Shan. "Don't go too far, Yun Huangxin," Huo Shan roared desperately as he tried his best to fend off the incoming swords. Unlike Huo Shan, Jai Yi's eyes were calm. He gripped his sword tightly as his body overflowing with immense sword intense. The moment he swung his sword forward, countless deadly profound lights shot forward at the incoming swords and Yun Huangxin's group. Boom. A deafening collision sound reverberated throughout the entire forest, the impact turning the surrounding trees into pieces and clouds of dust to fill the air. In front of Yun Huangxin, there was a gray-colored protective barrier that had completely negated Jai Yi's offensive power. Yun Linchen and 9 senior sisters were safe and sound under Yun Huangxin's protection. When the dust settled, Jai Yi and Huo Shan's figures could be seen in the distance. Their current appearance could be described as miserable. Their original luxury attires had countless sieves on them and blood oozing out of their wounds. Yun Linchen breathed in cold air. He looked at the petite figure in front of him with an odd expression. He didn't expect his third aunt to be this ridiculously strong. She could easily suppress the peak of Heaven Profound Realms practitioners like Jai Yi and Huo Shan at the same time with just a wave of her hand. What kind of that Gilgamesh-esque ability? To it's so cool, Yun Linchen immediately fell in love with Yun Huangxin's offensive technique. "Do you want to continue?" Yun Huangxin dispersed her protective barrier and asked sternly. Her arms were crossed in front of her flat chest, looking at her opponents calmly. "Hee, congratulations, Hall Master Yun, it seems your strength has increased once again." Suddenly, an aged voice resounded from the sky along with a figure slowly descended to the ground. This figure was a white-haired old man clad in a luxury white-colored robe with golden embroidered. His name was Chi Hao, the Imperial Protector. Yun Huangxin had discovered this old man a long time ago. Because of him, Yun Huangxin didn't try to finish Jai Yi and Huo Shan off. It wasn't because he had higher strength than her, but rather he could use his status to call everyone to attack her for justice reasons. She didn't want to be surrounded at this moment. At least, it should be after the Blazing Sun mythical realm opened. "The Crown Prince has personally come this time," Yun Huangxin replied nonchalantly. "Since Chi Hao appeared here, the Crown Prince Qi Yuanfeng naturally came here too." Chi Hao laughed slightly. "That's right, Your Highness Crown Prince is personally attending this event." He paused for a moment while looking at Yun Linchen. He asked, "May I know this young man's identity?" Similar to Jai Yi and Huo Shan, he was also curious about Yun Linchen. Yun Huangxin answered plainly, "This is our young master, Yun Linchen." Chi Hao was surprised. "Young master? Could it be?" Yun Huangxin nodded and proudly introduced, "Yes, he is our sect master's son." As her voice fell, the expression of Chi Hao along with Jai Yi and Huo Shan, who just stood up, changed drastically.